Good viewer, you are watching Xirtus. This is because Xirtus makes you feel good, makes you feel fulfilled. You are enjoying this. You will continue to watch Xirtus for a long time to come. You want to subscribe to Xirtus, and you will. You will like and subscribe and share. You will tell your friends. Tell your friends about Xirtus. Your friends will come to like Xirtus, much as you are liking this right now, as we speak. Thank you for subscribing to Xirtus. See, that was easy.
So long as I'm in this Oval Office.
Yeah. So what's up? So front and center right now. Yeah, okay, he jumped. I was like, are you just gonna like leave T-Bone by himself? Like, while you walk around the house? Like, are you like lighting candle? I don't know. He's got stuff he's doing.
He does that stuff too. Well, he tells me to leave him alone all the time.
He's a busy man. He's got dreams.
I'm this guy.
This is T-Bone. This is I Drop Bits, Yoga Poser's friend T-Bone, and already we've hit it off because he seems like a genius, and he's already looked deep into anime, which is where I've been arguing for years. Most of the secrets. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. Yeah, tell us about it. Because you like Gundam, right? And there he goes.
I'm getting a headband. I told you. There's a guest on Lex Friedman that wore a headband.
He needed seatbelt for his chair.
Definition. This is his first time on the show, so you know it's he's not used to it yet. But okay, wait. We'll pull up the pictures because I started like just working on that. Where's this at? First off, today is a Mayan blue resonant storm, which is I channel in order to catalyze inspiring energy. I seal the matrix of self-generation with a resonant tone of attunement. I am guided by the power of magic. I know that is the wave that Stefan likes to get on. Anyway, 13, 0, 11, 2, 14. 13 or 0. You can go 0 if you want to be really cool about it. But I think 13. I think I'm all right with that. 13. So we're on that odometer. Gundam is amazing, right? Like, isn't Gundam basically about everything? It's like the secret truth.
It predicts the future.
Yeah. So I mean, we've heard about people know about Transformers, and Transformers has shown things like the faking of the moon landing and all kinds of stuff, like in the open trailer of Transformers. But Gundam goes so much deeper into like families and the history of how the world gets to. Do you want to like maybe? Yeah, go into like Gundam, like, because it's a broad topic. There's a bunch of different Gundams. What was the first Gundam you saw?
Undersea, there's Gundam Wing, Gundam. There's a lot of them actually.
There's like Gundam Shrimp. I know, it's crazy.
I like between Gundam Wing and Gundam Seed Destiny. Those are that's one of the best ever.
And so which let's start with Gundam Wing's older, right?
Oh, this is good too.
Gundam Wing is 2000, 95. Okay, so let's talk about Gundam Wing first, and then talk about Seed Destiny. What's Gundam Wing about, really? Like, it's a group of people, kind of post-apocalypse. What would you describe it?
It's after, like, the plants are like separated from, like, there's gonna be like the designer babies going out of space and
right.
So it's another Civil War type of thing.
Right, and there's like a few families that run the world.
Yeah, same thing. Like, there's the Bancrofts and whatever,
Yeah, so what are they called? The Bancrofts. That's right. That's what I'm trying to remember the name of. In Gundam. This family, what's it called? The Bancrofts, is that right?
And there's, what's his name? What's it? Lena? What's her name? I can't remember. She's like, there's always a love interest in this stupid thing. That was a dumb one, I think, in that era. Because there's like 5 different Gundams that come to Earth to change the world and save us from ourselves.
Right, and there's like these like royal families kind of that are secretly not like banking families that like run, and every Gundam it'll be like 100 years different time, but they still run the world. They figured out how to survive a reset, right?
Well,
yeah.
These are basically governors.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like, everything's in Gundam. So what's the other thing is, like, what are these things? Like, these are the Heinlein Starship Troopers, right? In the actual book Starship Troopers, they're not just like, the movie's amazing, don't get me wrong, but in the book, they're wearing super suits to fight the bugs. So they're in these Gundam kind of super suits, these mecha suits.
They're mechas
Yeah, they're mechas, right? So Gundam is like and this is what they're building. I mean, haven't you seen like in Japan, like this idea of working on this? They even have old people picking strawberries in these like Gundam suits to help them bend.
It's about targeting. All that picking those strawberries, that's targeting.
Yeah, I mean, right? It totally is.
How many strawberries you can target in an orchard? So that's that's a lot of data that you can,
I just saw something about that.
Let's translate into the real world concept of it,
Do you have the song That's So Meta queued up?
No. Do you have the Greatest American Hero queued up?
I wish I did. I do have somewhere. Is it?
That's So Meta.
I have this one. This is a new one. This is not real music. I mean, it is, but it's not made by humans.
I sense my pulse quicken a rhythmic beat. Whenever you draw near, can't deny the heat.
I'll be right back. You can just think about this one.
Oh, baby, when I catch your gaze, soft as a breeze on a summer day. Oh, darling, it's hard to bear when you look at me that way.
I just pulled a major Stefan. I like this.
Yeah, you did.
I just wanted to see how that felt, It felt good.
But Jesus Christ.
It felt good. I get why he does it now. I get why he turns the radio up when he's talking to police officers.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you were talking about strawberries and targeting, and I think that's actually really on point. I just was reading this IEEE Spectrum. This neural net could help find orphan wells. See, so what we'll do is this drone can fly on its own with AI, and it can target orphan wells. It can like just do sonar and pick up, and it could basically bat sound find.
Wait, did you say Orson Welles, the author?
That would be great. We need to find Orson Welles. No, Oscar Wilde. No, you're an Oscar Wilde card. This is about finding orphan wells that have like gas leaks, or like maybe they're a uranium well. They might not just be for water.
No, sir.
That's his California accent.
How can we use it for good?
For sanity's sake, he thinks you're saying whales.
He is.
Whales. Whales?
W-E-L-L.
Dude, we could find the whales, bro. The whales, bro. See, that's California. Wells, not the whales.
What are wells?
There might be wells in Wales, and Lassie will let us know. But no, wells in Wales. And also there's whales. There's whales, and then there's Wales, right? There's the country. There's whales near the country of Wales. There's even wells near the whale. Yeah, the whales in Wales. Damn.
You meant the plural of who?
Whom said that? Something like that. Somebody, 144 still, it's about to get carbon nanotubular in here.
Totally away from the start. And so I'm going to make a meta point. And again, if you can find the song, That's So Meta. I think that's a top 5.
It's one of your faves, yeah.
Like a theme song. Someone should buy that.
We're gonna get back to it.
Start a podcast. You have to sell me that song.
This is like ADD cast. I don't know what happened here. Okay, sorry.
The meta point.
How do you even sing during that? How do you do that?
That was not.
That doesn't even make any sense. Like you're supposed to be preoccupied, and you still were able to fight through that. You're amazing.
Yeah.
This fine gentleman used to be a soprano in his younger years.
Really?
I was a high C soprano, perfect pitch.
Oh, that's pretty bass, dude. Well, it's pretty soprano.
It wasn't cool though. It wasn't cool.
Yeah, neither was smoking weed back then, but now it is in your voice.
Well, it depends on who you were.
Cool's a really weird thing, right? I was just thinking about that earlier because, like, all these people that.
Right?
Yeah. So here's my theory. People wanted to be cool originally because they just wanted to keep cool because it's like keep your cool, man, so you don't get in trouble with the police, right? Because if you were a little too wild, if you got hot and you got heated, then you get in trouble. So everyone's telling you to keep cool, but they're really telling you to suppress yourself. I don't know. That's how I feel about coolness.
I'm the high C soprano. Relax.
Bro. Dude. All right, but mind control in anime, because we talked a bit about this idea that like it's predictive programming. Yep. I mean, Nausicaa.
It's like the berserker kind of thing.
Well, good. Elaborate. Berserk. What do you mean?
When, that's what happened in Gundam Wing. He was like in the machine. The machine was starting to like manipulate his thoughts and turn him into. He'd go into a berserker mode, and then he just annihilate everybody.
So I berserker from like pop culture. I thought it meant like doppelganger almost. It means that there's like it's like a Jekyll and Hyde type thing.
No, that's not what that is.
Where he goes, it's like a super. Super Saiyan might be a good thing, but Jekyll and Hyde.
No, it's just like they had the wires in his head, and he's sending them a signal.
It's his job to never let me say something that he agrees with. As
well,
part of an ethical stance.
I think they humor you.
I haven't heard
so just so as you know, Berserker is an Old Norse idea to get into a trance-like fury. It's often associated with Odinism, but some people even consider Odin to be like Shiva. So this is an ancient Berserker. Yeah. The Filipinos have this thing called to run amok. To run amok is really similar to go berserk. It's a tribal power.
Fought Israel Adesanya in MMA, and it was a big match. And not remembering the guy's name exactly, but his pupils were huge. And I think he was like fighting his idol, and he only had about 2 rounds in him, and then he kind of took the loss. It's someone who before
the guy's going to eat his shield.
Wins and
he's high. That's the thing. Because
he went berserker mode and like in the octagon.
A lot of time they ate some weird potion, which was like some herbal concoction that was like probably had like mushrooms in it and things. And it's Mario Brothers. Mario Brothers is about this.
Sensationalize yourself,
like Lion's Mane and Chaga and Rishi.
Mario Brothers is nuts. I can't believe that Mario Brothers is like allowed for kids. They're like, don't do drugs, but like play Mario Brothers. Like, what is Mario Brothers? Mario Brothers is the craziest thing. He's like this. He's so.
Yeah. When he was like 5, he convinced our 3-year-old neighbor to eat mushrooms. Again, what kids will convince each other, and so they had that was a poison call trip type thing because they didn't know what the mushrooms looked like, but she was very sure that she'd eaten a whole bunch of them because Rob dared her to.
Oops. I got a story. My friends and his daughter pulled over the side of the highway. He's like one of these chefs, and he was like pulled some mushrooms out of the ground, and they ate the mushrooms. They cooked them in, for dinner, and they ended up going to the hospital. And it's like, they're the most straight-laced people you know what I mean? But he didn't realize he ate the crazy mushrooms.
Why would he do that? Why would? Because like, don't you at least have to be a genius about mushrooms? That's why I don't do that. Like, I think I know so much about a lot of things, but not enough to do that.
He'll change
Filter
your
my
rating,
boundaries.
or he works for Harvard, that type of thing.
Yeah. See,
You
like
know, not everybody's a real rocket scientist. You know what I mean?
So hold on.
Still,
So
like you have to know your limits. You know, I don't know. Like, I feel though.
Did you hear that Janet Yellen went out to a restaurant when she was in, I believe, Japan as like an ambassador thing, and she just pointed to something on the menu, and it was a restaurant that had psychedelic mushrooms on the menu, and she had a full-on experience at the table, unannounced or like unaware, and
you know who Janet
that's the kind of
Yellen's
thing that said
boyfriend is?
that's what would solve world peace. Again, she's the Treasury Secretary. Is that it's like
Do you know who her
the world
boyfriend is?
leaders would just
No.
sit down.
Who's
and
your
take it.
boyfriend?
They would understand it.
He's this 25-year-old Marine that she got. Like, our tax-paying dollars are paying for this shit.
Based.
Again,
I mean, you know what? Sometimes
skip over what I just said, which
the
might
dawning age of Aquarius, bro. Like,
I think
gotta
I would
invert it.
Sing that.
someone in the.
I'm talking about Janet Yellen. I'm with you.
Yeah.
We're on the same page. Yeah, but she's fucking a 25-year-old. What do you want?
Oh, you know. I mean, everyone gets upset or is okay with the other. I forget the deal there. We're supposed to be upset with that. I feel like we're supposed to be okay with that. What's the
Really?
rule? What's the rule? Like Socrates' age of.
You can swear.
I forget. It's like half plus 17 or something like that. Plus one. I don't know. I forget. What's the
Muslim?
rule?
What the hell?
No, it's like some Greek thing. I forget it. Doesn't matter. Shigeru Miyamoto, in my opinion, must have been like on a lot of mushrooms the weekend that he programmed Mario Brothers. That's kind of my point. I feel like he must have known about mushrooms and going into caves and like this is just in like the star tablets, dude. Like clearly, like because that game came out of nowhere, like the Dark Side of the Moon. Like it's just this boom. He just programs this masterpiece over a weekend by himself. He brings it in, and it's the greatest game ever told, right? Like
What are the turtle shells then?
what?
What are the so it's like in the metaphor? What are the turtle shells that he can use as weapons or protection?
Are there psychedelic turtles, or is that just
You would
frogs?
rotate around him, and like if you were again an early record, you would find the flat part of the tortoise shell and you would try to carve that groove in.
Do you think it's because like he's so Japanese that he just loves turtle soup? You think it might just be like a thing about like turtle soup?
The Red Sox are trying to sign someone named Yoshi.
Have you ever had turtle soup?
I have had turtle soup. One time I was bit by a turtle. I'll just say this: I love turtles. Don't get me wrong.
I had a turtle. His name was Gamera. You remember who Gamera was? It was a little feature.
Gambro.
Gamera.
Gammer?
Turtle.
I thought it was turtles all the way down, not up in the air.
No, like Godzilla type of turtle, you know?
Oh, Godzilla, turtle,
Big
Gamera.
head, tusk like a saber-tooth tiger.
Gamera. Okay. Yeah. Gamera.
And he had this little boy that used to fly in his palm. It was crazy.
Dude, who's your favorite? I like Mothra. You think Gamera or what?
Oh, man. I'm going with Gamera then. Told you, I had a turtle named Gamera. I had a little turtle.
Dude, that's the thing. Like a turtle can live for 200 years. I don't think you should eat turtle soup. Don't get me wrong. Like
No,
that's
I
wrong.
hated it, though.
But turtles, you know, like they bite you. Like they can
Not
be heat.
all. We're talking about snapping turtles. Not all
Dude,
turtles.
even you're just swimming in Ecuador, a turtle might bite you in the shoulder. It's happened to me. I'm just telling you, you gotta be careful. You don't just like think a turtle won't bite you.
Hey, life is not bad then if you're getting bit by turtles.
A long
That's true.
leatherback
That's true.
turtle is just a
In your shoulder?
Is it
I told myself that.
How's it get to your shoulder? Was it one of them big turtles?
It was a big turtle. It was like, yeah, and it comes and it's like right here. It was so sore. It was like
I
the
figured out
worst.
how I'm going to get a word in
I feel like-
edgewise and hand him cannabis.
That might work.
For half a second. So, can I make a
I
point
don't
about
even think I've been talking that much.
I want to make a point about a meta point about super fandom.
You think
And
I can't talk with a joint in my head?
instead of contributing to talking about what
This
is
is
canon,
easy.
what isn't canon when it comes to Mario Brothers or Gundam Seed, right now. So when it comes to turning new people on to something like Gundam Seed is a whole volume of things, and he's
I
appreciated
got a superhero
as a
complex.
as a fan in a number of ways. Now,
Do I have
where this comes in, where this comes into Xirtus's territory is the idea of AI translation, because you experience it one way with subtitles, but the visuals are part of the experience, and then you
Well,
kind
it's
of
also the so there's a few different versions of the translations.
the vocals, and that's exactly where I was going, because he pointed out before, like finding the right version on YouTube. Okay, it is translated and it is humans doing it.
No,
But he's going, there is a better version.
Some are better written.
Where it's just
translations.
a better voice of doing it. And talk about a way to kind of suck all of the value out of like, I'm watching the first two episodes.
This is what happens.
I want to buy into
Like
Gundam.
when they normally translate in English, sometimes they translate English from the Spanish version, so it comes out in a different text. You know what I mean?
And that's kind of done on purpose. They make it dense and obtuse to get into the large volume.
No, it's just different versions. That's what it is. Now there's 23 versions. And
you appreciate it as a series.
But if you translate it from Swahili, not every translation makes it through all the way to English. You know what I mean? I was just trying to look smart there.
But if Andreas decided it was not like worth his time monetarily, but like if there was something artistically that one created, and he just disappeared from the stream. It's just us now.
Oh, we got shut off.
Oh no, so Andreas, I got that glow yoga video, and it's in.
This is Gundam having a bar mitzvah.
And I need your
or
help.
bat mitzvah.
Oh my God.
10 languages.
You know, and I felt that was my response. It was
I
like,
never thought those words would ever be put in a sentence together. I did think about it.
I feel like I would hear those words put in a sentence together. Probably not in that way. It's probably like, I want to have a Gundam bar mitzvah. Could you imagine, like, yoga poser? Could you imagine a kid saying, I want to have a Gundam bar mitzvah? Like, that could be a thing, right? Because their theme.
Hey, we could sell that shit.
Ah, I'm pretty good at that.
As Dennis Leary said, there you are in the middle.
Band names and bar mitzvah themes, I could do them. Hey, what's up? It's Winslow. How's it going?
Hey guys,
Did you see our Gundam bar mitzvah?
I saw Godzilla, I think.
Oh yeah. We were talking a bit about Gamera. I don't know where Gamera went.
Gamera. Oh my God, that was my turtle.
Looks like something Godzilla would foot.
Gamera. Okay. Yeah, giant turtle. I mean, I like the idea of giant animals and everything. I feel like we've killed off all the giant animals on purpose really recently.
No,
they're just must have died out. You know,
they're just sleeping.
what's that movie that everyone thought was so bad, but it was not? Reign of Fire. Have you seen that? Remember? It's like starts out with them telling the story of Star Wars, and then there's a dragon that's asleep.
Well, that's how fossils happen. You understand that electricity naturally shoots out of the earth at certain places, and you can stack rock in certain places to make it happen. So when you want to fossilize a dinosaur, what you do is you chase it, captured under a rock fall, and then zap it with like 500 million volts of whatever earth energy you can put through it. And then like you hope that when you come back 20 years later, you're not digging out something, you know, like there are frogs that can desiccate and go inside.
You're supposed to pass that. I'm supposed to stop.
What's that Christmas movie about this? About Santa Claus?
Some dinosaurs could do that. And so you put them in, you think you've cooked them to death. And in reality, as soon as they're exposed to water, they like grow 5 times their size.
Have you seen Rare Exports, where they find the original Santa Claus? It's a Finnish movie, and basically this billionaire American believes in Santa Claus, and he's got, they're trying to find where the Santa Claus has been hidden under the ice. But the original Santa Claus was horrifying and like ate children and things, and he doesn't understand this necessarily. He started to realize it, but he still doesn't care because he loves Santa Claus. So all of a sudden he unleashes Santa Claus on the world, and luckily there's there's this one boy. There's one good boy in Finland. You know, it's a great movie. I recommend it. It's only in Finnish. But
Sounds like Captain America.
Except it's like Finnish boy. I love it. It's good. I mean, Gundam's cool because it's all about like mind control, and it's about like the resets. That's the thing that really got me with Gundam, because like every generation is an economic, financial reset. The entire society is erased itself because it's put everything onto a digital medium, and it's like we don't really remember what happened before the internet or after, because the internet's gone after we lost the internet, and then so there's just huge gaps in their history, but they kind of have inferred it because they've got.
Well, we can even say that about our own lives as far as being reliable historians, and say that we don't even really remember what happened to us, let alone
before the flood in Hill Valley, lost all the records of the time machine. Yeah.
I think last time we talked about connecting with a universal sense of not oneness, but like goodwill, that even if you're alone, there's somewhere metaphorically that will put their hand on your shoulder and kind of offer you reassurance and tell you, this too shall pass. And even if all the people you've kind of even wronged them yourself or whatever, that's not working, is there some sort of universal thing you can tap into? And along the same lines, when it comes to what we have as a sense of our own history and our connection to it and my sense of when the technology that we're using now really first came into use, and the evidence that's hidden in the symbology and the artwork, and the technology that was left behind as well. And the technology is each other. And then it's not that we all agree that UFOs built the pyramids, but more and more, it's real obvious that they had radio transponders in.
Well, what I'm really worried about is like in a few years, people saying they think Mount Rushmore. They're like, "Wow, I can't believe nature made this." You know, I feel like we're getting to the point where every generation we just infer that this is the first generation that can do what we can do, and nothing could be done before it. It's kind of the way people think their parents couldn't do anything. You know, like their parents were balancing checkbooks and things. Like the world existed before us. But we forget that in a way, and we start to just look at things and say, well, because we can't do that, we don't know how to do that with our current conception. And our current conception's really different than it was 20 years ago or 40 years ago. Like, we're using digital approximations instead of using analog computers or something like that to do scalar equations of like ocean waves, and you know, meteorologists are doing everything differently now. I don't know. I mean, everything is different.
The name of meteorology was you were putting fancier and fancier balls of either mercury or gallium or some other amalgam of even hot liquid salt type or naphtha, and then measuring what's on there, and then you're recording what's coming off there, so that when you're interpreting the data, you can be like, oh, right, this meant the thunderstorm was coming, or there's a high pressure system, a low pressure system, that sort of thing. But once the technology started to overlap, someone could go ask to look at your records that your meteorological equipment is recording, and you think it's just talking about charge in the air and barometric pressures of this, that, and the other. And in reality, when they are looking at your data, they're actually, it's a backup copy of the transmissions that they're putting out there on the shortwave.
Dude, this thing was so nuts. Like, have you seen these computers? So you've got, okay, let's start with just one of them. So you start with one, and as this wheel spins, right, there's a spinning.
First of all, what is this? Why have I never seen it before? Oh my gosh.
So first you got a rolling pin, and the rolling pin is moving along with these other rolling pins, but we'll get to those later, in order to approximate time. And this ball, right, this ball is moving around along with these balls, and they're all being pulled on a wire, and the wire is moving them at the same time. And the wires, like, each one is connected to a different sensor of the sea waves or of the weather pattern, or the different ways that these patterns are analog being produced. And then it's actually creating an algorithm which is taking all of these computations together, and it's producing a single line, which you can then break down later with a formula that can tell you.
Wall Street used to have a readout like this with dials up on the wall as well. And at first, it wasn't just for financial and banking things; it was the actual pressure gauges in the Con Edison system, and feedback warning mechanisms and loops.
Yeah, I mean, like, having these analog computers are probably going to become more popular again in the future as we realize they're important.
In Winslow, are you as amazed by what you just saw as?
I'm biting my tongue.
I'm still wondering if there's any Gundam and Transformer crossover.
Dude, there has to be. We'll have to do it. Here we go. We'll do it right now. I'll create something.
Like anti-Scythy.
That's the question.
And to get this.
But it's about long wave and short wave radios. And
no, we're talking about
what's that?
Again, to continue to root it back to Tartaria and the architecture is the idea that always has been, is by the time you convince yourself in and out of the idea of when they did discover what's evidence, you realize that the buildings themselves, due to the photoacoustic effect, by accident, eventually you would make a cathedral in that shape that would send out shortwave radio type stuff. And the same way, if you have a power transmission line and you put data over it, the power transmit, you don't even have to have it looped in any fractal. You're now broadcasting. You think you have a secret communication through a wire to something, and just by the very nature of the way a lot of electromagnetics, it's called broadband via power line. And when you plug your phone in, why do you think it has so many pins on the bottom? All it needs is 2, right? No, but it's because it literally can send data. Every time you plug your phone into the wall, most likely, there's someone on the other end who can download everything your phone has done since the last time.
Oh God, that was the thing that was why that machine was so interesting to me a few decades ago, because the analog computer could get all of the different signals from phone lines, and it could do a range that you could compute like which signal and pulse was coming from which phone line later, and you could actually break. So they could, in a really simple math equation, compress all that data, and then later they could go back and they could have every phone recording ever. They could then project that as a wave function, and then like listen to it. It's like, oh my God, like math is cool.
You weren't listening. You just found this stuff.
We just wrote down the wave function of what you did.
That's how they
That's chill, right? Yeah.
We're through another process, and then we can't. It's not the same thing.
Oh, dude, is this a wheelchair version of the Transformers? And
what?
I feel like that's where we went just now. Antikythera formers. Antikythera formers. Gundam Antikythera formers. That's what it is.
What it looks like to me, so Andres, if you go back there, what the image is implying, what I think the AI is trying to say, is that if you take I think like a 15-pound circular weight on the end of a barbell and you get it spinning very fast, you can lift it with one hand up and over your head in this rotation motion where something about the gyroscopic motion of it literally cancels out gravity and translates it. It really wants to rotate in your hand.
So this is a halo.
You can lift it 10 feet off the ground, whereas if the thing on the end is not rotating, you can't even lift it an inch off the ground with leverage or. So when he's
gears, I like
sitting
that.
on a bar, in the end, the thing on the end there is spinning really fast, and it's processing. He's like on a little ride, a little merry-go-round.
Bank SOSIS sound surveillance system, as requested by Corey Anderson. Nod, nod, wink, wink.
Was that a sound effect? Who honked?
That's just reality, bro. It's just so. It's don't make me do it.
You should say you trained your pet dragon bird to make that noise.
Oh man. Sound surveillance system was the original name of a submarine detection system based on passive sonar developed by the United States Navy to track Soviet submarines. The system's true nature was classified with the name and acronym SOSIS, classified as well. The unclassified name Project Caesar was used to cover the installation of the system, and a cover story developed regarding the shore stations, identified only as a naval facility NAVVAC. For being oceanographic research, the name changed to Integrated Undersea Surveillance System (IUSS) in 1985, as the fixed bottom arrays were supplemented by the Mobile Surveillance Towed Array Sensor System (CERTUS) and other new systems.
No, what's it called again? How's it spelled? CERTUS?
I feel like they should have put the I at the end because it would have been USSI, and USSI would have been cool. Like, check out our USSI, but. Integrated Undersea Surveillance System or the Sound Surveillance System, right?
So here's the thing: we think it's easy to listen in by like pointing lasers at windows. Or
we
something
can
like
see
that.
with sound waves.
If you're in a submarine underwater and it's not, it's like on purpose, just thin wall, right? In theory,
and if you're in a submarine, you should be on purpose.
If there's radio silence in certain frequencies that sometimes get beamed in and out of the layers of salty water and the thermoclines. But if those are all off and there's someone in there, you can basically, it's like broadcasting everything. It's like on every frequency all at once if you pump it in the right way. And it's the right shaped tube that they're in. So if a woman was giving birth and just like screaming bloody murder for like 10 hours, someone thinks that it's like a hack. It's a Max Headroom type thing where
thermocline.
Everyone's trying to like find their channels. And when they get to their channel, there's just someone like screaming bloody murder, literally just because they're.
Yeah, but that's just the American thing. Y'all heard of KM3net? The cubic kilometer neutrino telescope, the European version. This thing, it's an infrastructure system located on the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. It's basically like deep sea CERN. It's like the CERN Sea.
See, I wonder
it's a CERN recognized experiment underwater.
When I was little, I had a little stuffed animal that would talk back to me, but it was in muffled tones. Okay, and it was some sort of simple loop where you would go,
I'm not getting
but I wonder if it does that to dolphins, and it's like degrading their language actually, because instead of talking to each other, they're trying to figure out what's clicking back at them, and it's actually clicking back at them in some degenerated,
I'm out of the submarine,
non-grammatical form.
Dude, what the heck is the deal with the K3, the KM3 net? Like, what is it doing exactly?
KO3 net?
No, the K3M, the KM3. Sorry, I keep getting that. KM3 net. This is the underwater CERN project that has, it has like neutrino detectors in a net, a big like algae forest of neutrino detectors, right? This is like Twister, but underwater. It's like the weirdest.
Well, when water forms into ice under pressure, and the water itself is really high densities of dissolved ionic solids, you end up with something that we would call ice. But if the iceberg actually rose to the surface right away, it would probably almost instantly sublimate in off gas enough to if flood 100 square miles with something that if people were trying to breathe air on a ship in that area, it wouldn't work out so well. Or if it made
Julian Felsenberg says CERN was able to pause the Earth magnetic field for 6 hours. Is that true? Do anybody know about that? Has anybody heard anything about that?
pause the Earth. Yeah, and that's the idea, is measuring it, and the idea that a sensor goes off, and then what the F are we going to do about it anyway? It's like with the pandemic, if something's coming after us that's smaller than a wavelength of light, and that's what's going to take down humanity. The virus has no color.
That's an interesting idea. I get. No, this isn't from CERN though, is it? What? I'd love to see anybody who has anything on that. That's the idea.
Yeah, Elon would say we got to go to Mars.
I mean, I've been watching a lot of Nima Arkani Hamed's like math work, and it seems like we need a lot more energy to create. I mean, granted, like that's a concern. Like we could create a larger black hole, and there could be larger problems. But the I don't think we're creating large enough black holes to actually cause that kind of damage yet.
So if you took a cubic centimeter of plutonium and put it in the middle of a baseball field, it would last a long time. It would just sit there. So now, if
it'd be a horrible thing to do in a baseball field.
It's like in some like really, you know how in one of the Marvel movies the people like glowed red from the inside out. Plutonium is so angry. 1 kilogram of
that what happened to you?
Of plutonium is like 650,000 pounds of coal. Yeah, it's hard to understand that it's that angry. It'll sit there just being that angry for that long. You have to surround it by all these fluids instead of cooling it with water, because it literally explodifies the water. It turns it into hydrogen and oxygen gas, which then explodify themselves again once because it's so freaking hot. And it's kind of the idea when you're moving the vaccine, it needs to be at like negative 80 degrees. So they're building these convoys and that's the same way you move nuclear material, let alone how do you move a pound of plutonium? Let's say that's what the reactor's built. You spend $500 trillion bazillion dollars. All the smartest people, they build like 100 reactors to accept a kilogram of plutonium. How the heck?
Does anybody know what day it is?
Let's say you are able to put it in a bucket somewhere.
It's the third Sunday of Advent, the December 17th.
Turkey.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I find it interesting, this idea, the Orca detector as well. Just this is a crazy system.
You know, the narwhal has a tusk that it uses to sense vibrations in the water. It's not really, it's a kind of growing out of one side of their brain, and that side of their brain's a lot bigger than the other. And it allows them, again, to send.
Oh, really?
Messages.
One side of their brain? That's interesting.
So
Winslow was about to say something. What were you saying, Winslow?
I was just going to say we have a lot of interesting underwater detectors in the Mediterranean, and neutrinos are the main interest of all of these underwater detectors that are around the world.
So what's the deal? Why are they interested? What's the neutrino detection going to provide that's so useful or interesting?
The public experiments say that they want to prove supersymmetry. So that's the main thing.
What do you mean by supersymmetry?
Supersymmetry is part of physics and quantum mechanics.
So they just want to understand supersymmetry better. They want to have a theory that's more well-rounded to understand.
Yeah. Do you know anything about supersymmetry?
A little bit, but not everything. I know a little bit about how gluons interact and why, but I wouldn't say I wouldn't say anybody really completely understands supersymmetry. But no, continue.
The Bose-Einstein statistics, those are interesting. I watched an interesting video about that, but yeah, that's not the only thing that the underwater telescopes, I guess you could call them. I would call them underwater telescopes. They're looking for like dark energy. They look for basically anything, really. It's cool. They use the data for like CERN and stuff like that, but I was just looking at this particle accelerator that was in Texas that was supposed to be bigger than CERN. It's just outside of Waxahachie, Texas. You can find it on Google Maps. It's this giant building. Yeah, the superconducting. That's it right there.
And it's like a living university, right? Because whoever's running it has to be training in people.
To maintain it.
It's like Homer Simpson falling asleep at the wheel at the nuclear factory is not really an option.
And then there's that tower just like, I think like 10 miles or a couple miles south of that location. It's like a Tesla coil.
Oh. All about that.
That's probably to prevent the shock from happening at the factory itself.
Texas is an interesting place. Texas exports, I think, 3 times as much as California in gross domestic product. So
Lindsay, can I give you my 2 cents on neutrino detectors? And this is coming maybe out of center field as opposed to left or right, but maybe you can tell me if I'm off base, so to speak. He hates it when I use sports analogies, so I'm just really
just keep doing it.
Actually, you know what? I was gonna say earlier when you talk about supersymmetry, it's gonna be like football plays, right? Like sp2 orbitals. That was like the first thought I had. Is most of this stuff is a bunch of football plays.
Yeah.
The Tchaikovsky reaction is a football play. Like if you're a chemist, you're thinking of football plays. All right, sorry, just in your defense.
So if you have a bunch of water and you don't know if, because you can do all these reactions where you precipitate things out of it by adding chemicals to it.
I got a headache.
And then filter it. So I'm trying to break it down. Learning it wasn't fun either, bro. I was going through puberty. It was really all right.
It made me do math homework.
You're
saying to break it down water though. What is it?
We have Winslow again. He brought up the idea of the supersymmetry and the neutrino detector. So again, the question I have is like, let's say you have a bunch of water and you don't know if it's radioactive or not. So what neutrinos are, as opposed to just being the smallest little bit of nothing that's flying through the universe, because it's hard to accept that, bare none, but there are things called alpha particles and beta particles, and they are the results of collisions when photons or the packets of wave light energy, intersect the space-time continuum of the specific nucleus as opposed to flying through one of the valence shells and stuff. There's a type of reaction where they're kind of predictable and quantized, the same way the valence electrons jump up in kind of predictable fixed rates that.
Does anybody know all these words?
The alpha. So the neutrino is a sign that there is something with a half-life in there that's farting neutrinos. Okay, and otherwise, if in your giant water tank in this sector B125XBX, all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of neutrinos, either like a cosmic lightning bolt of aurora borealis just is like shooting into that pool, or there's something that you haven't figured out what it is in that water yet. It might be in some sort of weird polarized high state where it's either who knows, buffers and catalysts that somehow we don't have the reagents, or because again at some point chemistry.
Yeah, we haven't quite figured out potential energy.
There we go.
But yeah,
like speed chess.
I want to do a pardon your interruption.
No, that wasn't bad.
If I'm going to pay Andreas to help me produce the show and not be such an idiot with computers.
What was the deal with Bose-Einstein statistics that you were bringing up earlier, Winslow?
Bose-Einstein is, if I recall, you when something gets to absolute zero temperature, what was it? Hold on a second.
I wish that ChatGPT was good enough so that when I'm asking Winslow that, it should be able to respond to what I just said. It's not quite, so even if I'm live transcribing it.
Or E of I, the occupation number, the number of particles in state I, G of I, GI is the degeneracy of energy level I. EI is the energy of the ith state of, was that phi? No. U. U is the chemical potential 0 for a photon gas.
You can like check in with which one.
You can basically change elements at that, or you can change around.
In the same room.
Yeah, the elements. So like you could basically make anything at that temperature. I guess you could say it's not really a temperature. It's just like the absence of movement. Vibration, right?
Right.
So everything, all of the particles, they have symmetry in a sense. Sorry, not symmetry. You can change you can change the particle lattices to create whatever chemical you want, whatever chemical bond you want. So, like potentially, you could make aluminum into like gold or something like that. But achieving absolute zero is like theoretically possible, but really not possible.
The way that it works in biochemistry is you have molecules, as you said, they can adopt multiple configurations. So pretend that there's like a seesaw, and on one side of the seesaw, it can accept one phosphate group over here, or it can accept a phosphate group on the other side. And it doesn't really care which one it does, but it's a lot easier to put one over here if there is already one over here. But when it gets locked in on this side is a lot easier for it to get bumped off in the mitochondrial endoplasmic reticulum, so that it's part of an ion chain of oxidative phosphorylation, where somehow, this idea of a neutron is like a fart almost that these reactions leave behind of like neutral energy. And then it can be traveling if the reaction that produced that neutrino was traveling as well. But the neutrinos that we're detecting with the neutrino detector, I'm sure they are differentiating between, like, it's like background radiation, so to speak, and then stuff that may be happening in the water.
So Bose-Einstein condensate is this idea where like they're at the lowest density.
I like how it's described here, the superatom state of matter. Bose-Einstein condensate is a rare and exotic state of matter where atoms act like one giant superatom. So you could technically like fuse things together. Like you could become a part of metal. Like you could put your hand inside of metal and then it would fuse with the metal. In theory. Because
how fast does that process take?
All atoms are at the same exact frequency, basically.
It'll be a superhero.
So if they're all at the same state, then it wouldn't even take very much time because you could just arrange all electrons wherever you wanted to.
So we all know who Einstein is. Can you look up Mr. Bose? Again, just to give him credit. He was someone who didn't win a Nobel Prize, I think, or something, but it was his work that kind of led to someone else getting it.
Because he wasn't white. Racism every time.
Wrong place.
It seems like Einstein always gets like, he's a popularist. That's the thing about Einstein. Like he was surrounded with people that were actually brilliant. And since he was famous, like it was really useful actually to them because they probably wouldn't have ever been heard about otherwise. I don't know.
But the way that they achieve Bose-Einstein is like using lasers and vacuum pressures, that these chambers that are, would be rated to go down to 10,000 feet under the sea. That's how, and it's just packing all this weird energy into this small space. And, there's a story of a guy working on a particle beam, and he stuck his head literally in a plate. You can't see it, but literally half his head was like swollen and literally was like missing skin from the back of his head from these. So the secondary, like colloquial, what is it? It's like dirty Latin meaning of the Bose-Einstein condensate is that even with just like sound waves, you can basically like shatter matter sometimes. And The other, Mach's principle, a name, everyone knows the name Bose-Einstein. Mach. So have you heard of, like Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3? So to me, there's a double entendre there, because scientifically what it's saying is that the coherence of a substance moving from one space to another, and again, this is the parallel to this, is a pilot ejecting at Mach 1, right? Because you can eject from these planes, but you kind of have to ditch the plane and like a skier, like slow down with it and then jump out of it. Because if you leave the cockpit when it's going Mach 2, literally Mach's principle is a type of fluid transfer. It's not thermodynamic.
That comes without saying, though. But I think they're trained for that.
The punchline is, again, it's like the coherence of the matter has to do with the difference in the speed and energy contained in the two different spaces that one is moving from one into the other. So like literally, if you use
think of fighter jets when you talk about this,
you just like turn into like liquid,
Well,
at sublimation.
At Mach, theoretically, I think of whenever you're talking about Mach, I think of the human body going through like air and like your head outside of a window, or like a dog its head outside of a window with its mouth open or something like that. But theoretically, the human body could withstand any gravitational force if you surround it in a liquid.
Travels fast in a table.
A liquid equal density to the human body.
It goes at like 1,300 miles an hour to the other side, but in air at surface level, at 0 degrees elevation or 0 feet, there's about anyway, it is Sunday night. Do we want to get too heavy?
Mach did say that, when asked about astrology, he said that I can't imagine that these giant bodies don't have an effect on us, right? I think that was pretty interesting or profound. A lot of the times we're supposed to say we know what the effects are, and that might be a problem. Everyone's always trying to come up with theories on quantum entanglement, supersymmetry, the effects of particles. But at the end of the day, the point is we kind of recognize that they probably do affect us in some way, and we probably affect them. And I think that, it's interesting because Mach's more of a philosopher than just a scientist at that point, right?
The reason that they met in such big groups and debated all this stuff, like 3 years, Einstein was debating with someone, and Einstein turned out to be wrong at the end. But the way that the guy built his argument was by responding. It was like, no, slow down. You and me are like might be the only people that actually care or understand about this. And so all these people are going to like argue while we're doing it, almost like they're taking bets on what we're saying. You got reporters taking pictures, flashing up lights. But they actually like figured out that sound energy and light energy, the reason the whole wave particle duality happens is because there's a like the excitation and re-excitation of the same incident photon, and yet the preservation of the change of the valence electron. Again, there's a lot of stuff that they're still kind of dreaming into space about it, but the model continues to hold up when they're modeling the reactions at a variety of different levels. So
yeah, I think that's something, looking at like sensory psychology or hypersensorial therapy, right? This idea of like light therapy and immersive in VR, immersive therapies and things like that. Like, I think they're connected. What's this? InnerSense is a Santa Monica lab, right?
We haven't said crypto for at least 5 to 10 minutes, and so again, nothing he says or anyone says is financial advice. We don't have Bernie here to put the crawl on, but get your crypto. I said if crypto didn't exist, he'd be like selling me pyramid schemes, and it'd be not only a lot more annoying, but he might be wrong. Whereas with this stuff, at least he's right.
Well, I mean, so InnerSense isn't like anything too wacky. It's actually pretty legit. It's just this idea of, vibrotactile tables, sound therapy, like basically instead of drugs, using all sorts of sensorial therapy, right? Winslow, what do you know about this?
You say drugs. Have you ever heard of iDoser?
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, iDoser and Gnarl Beats. Let's look at that real quick. Gnarl Beat is the open source binaural beat generator.
By Gnarls Barkley? No.
Gnarl's like GNU.
Around iDoser things back in like 2007.
Yeah, long ago. I used iDoser in like 2000 and
iDoser? No.
2 and 3 because I was in this school that like had us actually doing iDozer it was in like Squaw Valley, like they had us actually use this for like legitimate therapy. So I was pretty into it, but like Gnarl I think has existed since probably 2007 or 10. So I've been using it since at least like 2007 probably. Gnarl's the again open source version of it. So like at this point I don't know if you really need to use the paid version. Like it's so.
That's your nickname for the rest of the podcast, by the way. And it is my first time on the but Gnarls.
It's good to have you again for your first time on the podcast.
Until you can sing like that, we're gonna keep working.
Yeah, no, but binaural beats are really important, and it's true you can use them for all sorts of ways, and having them involved in your music production is really easy to do now, especially because it's an open source thing. You can use Gnarl in like Logic or Ableton or something like that, and you can create frequencies so your beats are coming up and going down left and right headphone channels, so you can incorporate it into regular music, and a lot of people I think do, although I don't know if they say they do, but they should, because I think that would be more interesting. I would approach music more.
I was messing around with
I got that.
3D space. Yeah, what's up?
Just your play on it.
Someone was saying something. Sorry.
Oh no, I think he's just asking what you were saying.
It's pretty cool to get like a room full of mirrors and a room that can bounce sound around in a certain direction, and you can create like 3D spaces of light and sound and music. And if you want to incorporate it into like your own entertainment, like a movie or like a space that people can hang out in, but on like a more personal level, it's like you put on headphones and you sit in a chair or lie in a bed, and there's different types of ways to give vibration into your body. But what are these things?
I was just looking and trying to figure out, because like I know with Gnarl you can do this as well. You could have multiple channels, right? So you could have 5.1 surround sound set up, and then you can make a 5.1 Dolby track and play it through Logic, through your stereo, and have it all, have everything have different effects if you wanted to do that.
Even with the Atmos, you can bounce the music off of your ceiling, or Dolby is like the master at all of that. But it'd be fun to go inside of the Dolby laboratories here in San Francisco. They have a really giant granite building here in downtown.
So the kids know about like the TI-83 and then the TI-87 calculator and then the tablet. But so when it comes to that technology, there were a lot simpler versions at one point as well.
This is brutal. This is the Dolby Lab. They're just like recording your brain while you watch TV and listen to things.
So
based.
Xirtus, you're aware that there was like
this is better than the Maxell ad for like cassette tapes. Remember that? I don't know.
There was like a 2.0 channel, and that's stereo. Dolby came along and said, we're going to add a center channel. And we're going to strip, instead of just stripping bass and distributing those within a system with called crossovers, which can become very dangerous too, because powerful tweeters. Yeah, again, you become a Bose-Einstein condensate to some extent. It's the Maxwell. So then there was 2.1.
I still love Maxell tapes.
Two channels, and then the center channel, and then there was. The 0.1 was the subwoofer. It was a powered subwoofer. And then we had 3.1 and then 4. And literally eventually there was like 8 speakers around with specific alignment, and they're all talking to each other to make sure that they're placed at the right distance. And
I had my bed on a winch that would go into the ceiling, and it would come down, and I had surround sound, and I had a subwoofer built into my bed. So when you lie in the bed, you can feel like the vibrations of whatever.
See, I think Andreas is modeling behavior, and when he uses his vaporizer, he blacks out the screen. But no,
it's a good idea.
Yeah, and he's not insisting his guests don't say this.
Here's the vibrating bed, though. Check this out. Magic fingers. Like that's what they had before the subwoofer.
Well, I literally cut like a cube size shape in my
operator.
And I put it right in there.
That's pretty brilliant.
Works pretty well.
So, both was it Winslow and Andreas? sorry, the
But
dolphin.
InnerSense messed around with some dolphins. It'd be pretty cool to look at that.
Oh,
But,
really?
what-
When did
yeah,
they do
I
that?
actually swam with those dolphins down in Mexico.
That's awesome.
What?
But,
InnerSense dolphins. Where do I find that project? What? Dolphin puppet with tactile transducer?
They made this, but this technology is pretty expensive to buy into. But they did some tests with the dolphins, and there was an article and even a video on it.
Dude, if there's anything that's going to make a
I got
dolphin,
his book and I have his poster. I can show you that poster. I can grab that poster right now.
Yeah, do that while I look for.
you know how helpless you'd be if 3 dolphins decided to pick you apart?
Yeah, dolphins are nuts, bro.
They move so fast, and when they're angry, again, if they determine that that noise that's being made is a threat to their babies or their pod, they will.
Whoa, you love infograph charts, posters.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool to look at.
Damn.
Is it a circle diagram, or what is that? It's just a mandala?
So it's like an artistical. It's like an artistical. It's an artistic representation of all known science. So it's a cool, like, just thought-provoking thing to look at. It. It's in
I
a
think it's prolific.
way to
See,
represent time, and there's the duality on everything, and it's set up in a specific way where you kind of can learn about the universe or the human body or like how everything's connected through vibration, and it kind of spreads out through the quantum clock of time, and it's organized by like vibration, but it's set up like a clock. It's pretty interesting to learn about. I bought his book and I have read it once, but it's something that you need to learn. You need to read a couple of times and spend some time on. But
Well, imagine being able to take all of the principles of, say, the Egyptian mystery schools and Confucianism and Tibetan and all these, again, monastic traditions and distill them down into a yantra. Because that's essentially when you have. Did you print that at a local print shop, or how did you get it onto such a large format?
I bought it. It was I paid $300 for the poster from this guy's website right
It's
here.
like a high quality print.
Dude, when he doesn't buy cocaine, he can spend
It's-
money on posters. Yeah.
It's in 3D too, so if you put on some 3D glasses, it pops out.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
That's pretty
And
sweet.
so what I heard, that the mythology was that our generation will experience divinity because they don't have belief first. So then they have to have some sort of religious experience that gets not just like faith and like you need to cling on to something, but like connection with Mother Ayahuasca, so to speak, but like on the level of complexity of that drawing that you just kind of, or that, three-dimensional, multifaceted, multicolored yantra.
It's called the name of it's pretty cool. I mean,
But so the people that created the religions, that created the artists, that created and the culture that created those types of things, they were the ones that understood, that designed the shortwave protocols for how to send transmissions through different bandwidths, and they just saw the world in terms of frequency and vibration, and they almost like had to have OC. It one thing to go to engineering school and learn all these forms of calculus or this, that, and the other, but when you're building that stuff, and then you're put in charge again of building it from the ground up to be secure.
I got a mouthful for you.
That's Elon's battle right now.
I have a fractal water ultra imploder vortex magnetic system, but yeah, this this chart is almost like a blueprint, but there's like spelling mistakes on it. But it's called the absolute scale of relative cosmic reality, and it looks like Andre. Okay.
Is this a water purifier? What?
Yeah. That's funny. He went to go get water. Yeah, it's called a fractal water ultra imploder vortex magnetic system.
No,
And
I
it's
pay $100.
And it basically you've got like a water line right in your house, wherever it is, like your sink, and it puts the water through the water line, but it like twists the water in a certain way through that it creates oxygen
Vortex.
in a sense of I don't know. There's different ways to do it, but
It's called like the thunderstorm generator.
No, it's just,
I really
just
like water.
like, you know, your toilet bowl goes the same way. You know.
It's called cavitation.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But no, I don't know if you guys have you guys been to Los Angeles. They have a store called Erewhon. That's in there's a water section there. It's pretty cool to.
Is that like a
check
female
out.
version of a hero of a story? It's called Erewhon.
So it's like water art.
Whatever you're selling, I'm not buying, and no, I won't touch you there for $5. Where'd Andreas go? Stranger danger, stranger
Sorry, I had to get a
danger.
water bottle.
Oh yeah, you got one up them. I don't think you can.
I was thinking about Short Circuit. Have you guys seen that movie? Remember that robot,
course.
Johnny Five?
95.
Dude, Johnny Five is so cool. Because it's basically like, no one ever thinks about this movie, but backstory is, and also like I read the script, because the script was way more hardcore than the movie.
That's what people had feelings and emotions.
Have you seen the back?
Well, the whole movie is about this robot who's basically, he's a military program, you know, like they're called Saint, like strategic, atomic,
Johnny Five
or
is
strategic artificial intelligent nuclear Terminator, something like that. I forget.
What year was that?
he has no strength.
86.
86. I was gonna say 87.
88 is the sequel, Short Circuit
Yeah.
2, which is arguably better. But I mean, they're both important movies. It's like a military thing. The military made these like evil things. It gets struck by lightning. He loses his memories. He has AI only. So all of a sudden with AI, he has to learn everything. He goes around the world, figures out everything, and he gets to become sentient. And he realizes he does, like, killing is wrong. And they're like, who told you that? He's like, I did. It's like, I'm a person. And they're like, no, you're not. Like, yes, I am. They're like, who told you that? I told me that. They're like, I am alive. Johnny number five is alive. It's so brutal. And like, this is all happening right now. You know,
The story between life and
Sounds
death.
like the kids' version of that's Wall-E.
You know,
yeah.
how everything's a parody on itself, like Buzz Aldrin, but like Roe v. Wade was like the baby that you're leaving to die on the table will quit rowing its arms or kicking its legs first.
Don't go away from Johnny Five.
Roe
Come on,
v. Wade.
let's get back to Johnny
They would
Five.
bet on
All time is happening at once.
It's so much
Buzz
more
Aldrin,
than
Buzz Lightyear,
hold you
Buzz-
at least once somehow. My stupid sense of humor. Sorry.
It happens. You know, clocks right once, twice a day. But a broken clock.
So, Andreas, random curveball. If you type in O0, there's an amazing geological formation that looks like a volcanic crater with a pyramid on top of it.
I was feeling nostalgic on Johnny Five.
And it might have 2 R's.
I was feeling judged. You like 95. What's the Kozarev mirror? Do you know about the Kozarev mirror, Winslow?
That's the-
I have a friend who was trying to work on one of these. Yeah.
This has to do with black body radiation.
Esoteric literature from the 1990s, pseudoscientific device made from long sheets of aluminum. It is alleged to focus different types of radiation, including that coming from biological objects, when those objects are placed inside of it. Kozarev mirrors were used in experimental related to extrasensory perception (ESP) conducted in the Institute of Experimental Medicine of Siberia, division of the Russian Academy of Sciences. So your friend was trying to make one?
ESP is seen as like, again, Bigfoot, Yetis, conspiracy theory type thing. But this idea of spooky action at a distance, as we know it now with quantum entanglement, used to be the way that they, for 250 years in mainstream culture, the way that they characterized radio transmissions. The idea that you could talk into a walkie-talkie, anything like that. Galileo didn't believe it because the guy said he had one, but it wouldn't work in the next room over. He had to go really far away. Like if you're right next to the cell tower, his communication device didn't work, but otherwise it was pretty much spot on.
So I see an application to this on the quantum scale. If you want to make a decision, let me slow down this for a second. So this is like a sensory deprivation, and also like a way to isolate yourself from your surroundings. So there's a couple of different ways you can isolate yourself. You can isolate yourself from the electric side of things, and you can isolate yourself from the magnetic side of things. And there's different applications for doing that.
So I saw on Veritasium, a YouTube channel, he went to a university, they had a Faraday cage, and they had a magnetic field that was either swirling in one direction clockwise or counterclockwise or stationary. And it was about 70% of the people had a pretty significant, obvious reaction they noticed when the field flipped. And you're talking about extrasensory perception, something we don't really understand. Sure, the magnetic particles in a bird's brain help it find north, but does it like see a compass rose? No. So how are these mechanisms working? I don't know. But again, spooky action at a distance. For 300 years, they thought it was silly that Hermes actually represented, again, the Mercury. It sent at like light speed. It got there real fast. And anyways, I think we need to open up our thoughts to this type of thing. Again, I'm not sure about transmitting our consciousness beyond our mortal self. That's kind of one step further than we're going here, where we're talking about. So if there's certain types of fish that do well in aquariums that are tubes with water always running in it, because they exist swimming upstream. And if they're in a regular tank, they actually don't really last very long because they need to be swimming. And so by the very same measure, what are we looking at here?
Oh, somebody asked if we'd looked up Paul La Folle's work, and I wasn't sure, so I was just looking it up. Sorry, I'm not sure if this is right. You can keep going.
Well, I was doing an analogy. So there was something that needs to be in use to.
You want me to pull something up? You're saying?
I don't know. Did we lose Winslow as well?
Oh, Winslow's probably fighting dragons.
Still high by Will.
Could be a thing.
Can you look up O0 right quick though, or actually?
O0? Is this right? Like this?
It's a volcano. And just some photos of it.
Vladimir Putin's inner circle.
No. There's two R's.
I like that you wanted that.
I didn't know that was true, actually.
That was all your plan. O0 volcano.
No, but that's why my algorithm forced me to see this mountain, though.
Pico de Orizaba. Where is this mountain?
Yeah,
what is this?
And then get the aerial shot of it. You get
This is it. Okay, hold on. Aerial shot of Pico de Orizaba. Is that what you meant?
I guess I'll type it in. I'll see if.
What is this?
He says that there's a mountain called Zorro, but it's really Orizaba.
Oh no, Mount Tree.
It's just full of lies. Lies, Stefan. Lies.
Where is this?
I don't know. He's telling me that there's a road.
I think it's a great pitch. I'm either really overselling the fact that the algorithm just taught me though that apparently Putin has an inner circle, and they carry around his Rife machine, right?
I got two things I want to cover, actually. First one's this. Let's start with this. Okay, so Cinema Drive. Let me tell you about a place in America, in this world. You go down to Cinema Drive. So have you been there? You know what I'm talking about in Cinema Drive? Cinema Drive is... I just had it. Why did I do that to myself? Okay, check this out. This is Cinema Drive. You go down to Cinema Drive, and where's the cinema? There's no cinema, right? Here is Crosspoint Church. Clearly, this used to be a cinema, but it hasn't been a cinema in a long time. So one time this kid says, turn on Cinema Drive. And I realize that this is lost, but also that the future, because there's no cinema, and kids don't even, what do you explain to them what a cinema is? Like, they don't know what a cinema is. Like, it's not going to exist in 20 years. Like, oh, you mean like going to the movies? Like, yeah, people used to go to the movies together. Like, in a bus? Like, it doesn't make sense. So people are going to be very confused about words like Cinema Drive or anything else like that. Like, words that have nothing to do with anything. They're going to exist in 100, 200 years. We're going to have Cinema Drive. All right. So then I see this dude. He's got this video, and it's like, what if the Universal logo was real? And I mean, like, literally, like, what if, like, the logo that you see, like, what if it, like, covered the world? You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden you had this giant, you know, so he maps it out. Like, let's say there was the Earth, and then there's this, like, you know, what we understand to be the weight of platinum or gold. If this was solid, like, what kind of pressure would that cause? You know, how close would it be to the moon? Because you have to understand how close the moon is. And he does all the triangulations and realizes that, like, it would cause, you know, chaos, complete chaos, right? This would, like, pretty much end the world. If a giant universal sign like Saturn came across the world, it would just destroy everything, right? And it made me realize, like, how literal humanity is.
Guys did a physics simulation on just that, on what the U would do, and mapped it.
Cinema Drive is near the Scientology city area, right?
Yeah, I think so, in Santa Clarita.
So the idea, George Bush was, I think he said when he was flying over the United States, he saw 1,000 points of light or something. And it was something that I think a Chinese emperor had said about his dynasty when he was. So, but infrared radiation that's coming up off the Earth, it's re-radiating. So, you know, the black top, or, you know, even water re-radiating the heat. by the time you're seeing it from really high up, it's the idea that it's passing through and then it's either hitting the nucleus or it's missing. And the more matter that it has to go through, the more likely it is that even the infrared is going to get bumped down a bit or bumped back into the visual spectrum, into red, where we can see it. So it looks like there's sprites. This idea of a Bose sprit is the mast on the front of the ship, like the narwhal has, and that's where the St. Elmo's fire would shoot off and stuff. It's like a type of, it's like if you don't degauss it properly or something.
That's how you get them.
Infrared is very important. The FDA, they proved that infrared light can increase your recovery rate by 30%. So
Dude,
go on.
This is I was just gonna say, this is like the ultimate evil bad guy. You have to use infrared light. Look at that. That's what you do.
That's what you remember in Spaceballs when they go ludicrous speed and he goes like fractal. Do you remember that?
Ludicrous
What's that guy's
speed?
name?
In what?
That cartoon.
Oh, this is Tekkaman Uchi no Kishi. This is unfortunately my greatest upload ever.
Winslow, have you seen Spaceballs? Have you seen Spaceballs?
No, not my
Spaceballs. It's been a long time.
So there's a scene where again it's a one up on 2001 where they do go warp speed and there's some when you're sitting in full screen to it could give it's like borderline epileptic type stuff. But what if that's what it is really like? And again, Andreas, I don't know if he's still listening or no.
When you're traveling the speed of light,
No, I think that from the moon we might look like a pale blue dot, but when you're halfway there or a quarter of the way there because of the Van Allen radiation belts, we look like the sun. And then when you get lost in your sensor, it looks like you have to dive back into the sun, and then you get within the realm of this glowing orange-red plasma field that is the Van Allen radiation belts, essentially.
I'm pretty sure Winslow was about to say something.
I was just talking about infrared light and how you can basically reflect it back into your body for improved health, and there's a patented fabric called cellulant, and you can buy clothing or you can buy whatever. It's
my blankets not only keep the heat in, but it's like a fire blanket, something that's a 16th of an inch thick, or even a 16th.
I've survived some crazy situations with Mylar blankets.
That's the kind of stuff Goku wears.
It's better than wearing a space blanket. It's cellulant. It's got 13 minerals woven into it. It's CELLIANT, cellulant.
And how did because again, if the Mylar is 98% efficient, you're saying that the extra mineral will give it 99% efficiency? Because a blanket is 12%.
Basically like a Faraday cage for infrared light, basically.
Whoa. At Walmart? Okay.
Is it at Walmart?
Walmart does have some good hold on some spaces.
Wouldn't that be
another luxury thing Walmart has is you can buy water that the Queen of England bought out for a long time. So when the monarchy buys a water, they basically make it so that company cannot sell water to anyone but the monarchy. And the water that Walmart has, it's by Saratoga Springs. It's in a blue bottle, and you can get it in sparkling or
Wow.
So that was the Queen's water when the Queen was alive, but you could only get it if you had a connection to the royal family. And the reason why I liked it is because I swear it made you feel good when you drink it. It's
Okay.
hard to describe,
you're walking head
It's
first
connected to the royal family.
a myth, or a legend, excuse me, not a myth. So there's a legend about how all the people are sure that their well is poisoned and tainted either with soma, something that's controlling them, so they insist on finding the king and where his well is, and then they don't let him drink from it. And it turns out at the end he's the only one that's living because it wasn't madness that was spreading.
Who's connected to the royal family? I want to know.
That's the thing about the Bible, though, is the Bible says don't share your water.
That might be a
If
cool story.
you've ever heard of that, but I guess that's something in the Bible. What's your question? Sorry.
Who's related to the royal family? Who's getting this water?
Well, now they're saying that she just, since she's dead, she doesn't care anymore, so she doesn't have to have
Well,
all of
that's
it.
why you're able to get
Well,
cases.
Now anyone can get it on Amazon.
You could get it. You could get it through Burberry.
Oh, of course,
Burberry.
Oh,
You don't
I
think
don't know.
that's
I
why
don't
they like made friends with India so that they could get that technology.
I think this is more proverbs about monogamy. Don't like share your wife, and don't share your wealth.
The Dalai Lama, they would take
That might be like the Tao, you know.
the relative as a child and put his brain in it, and they're like, eventually he was like, no, guys, it's still me. 200 years later, he's like, I remember all the prayers. You didn't teach him to the kid, right?
What about like ancient people with better teeth? So like everyone used to have perfect
Yes,
teeth.
I know that one. You know
What's
why?
up with that? What's up with that?
It's because our food's so broken down. Like, our bodies used to do everything. We were perfect. And then our food gets, polished and our teeth don't have to do all the work. So the saliva that we used to, excrete back then used to do a lot more work. And as far as clean, you didn't need fluoride and all this other bullshit. They didn't have toothbrushes.
So shouldn't we just have kids like chewing on leather belts or something then? Like some supplement so that they can keep having their sugar powders,
The idea that you make it late into life, that's a major
something like that.
Yes.
But, that was the answer.
Victor Schauberger might say like water memory also, just like that we're breaking down.
No, our appendix used to do something too,
Remember, our ancestors were the ones who tamed the dogs. We inherited
What did our appendix used to do?
They got their faces bit off all the time.
There is a picture of the inside. That's pretty
So
cool.
this is kind of like a Victor Schauberger water spiralizer.
Yeah.
Is that what that's for? Fractal water.
Is that the same thing?
Well, I mean, fractal water is supposed to be really important because we basically put our water through a Holocaust. It's like shattered. It's been traumatized a lot, and then it's shot back and forth. And
you break it down. You're breaking it down molecularly.
Yeah, trying to break it, put it back together.
Water is treated.
Before you drink it, oh my God! Hope it doesn't blow badly.
Wait, sorry. What do you say?
Water is mistreated so badly in our society and the way we use water. There's so many things to talk about, but the basically the touchstone of the conversation is that water is in pipes, right? And we transport water through pipes to get to our houses, to get to wherever it's going to be bottled. But if the water is in pipes, it cannot be accessed by the water cycle. So Mother Nature, or our natural ecosystems, our environment suffers from the water being underwater. So something I want to see in the future is I want to see reservoirs of water on top of buildings instead of in pipes. A different design of our public water system would benefit nature a lot more. If we could have more water being access to the water cycle, that would mean we have more rain. More rain is more crops. More crops is more food. More greenery, more life, no drought.
And just all the weird minerals that we've got spread around. Like this picture kind of does show it. Like you got random minerals in your water instead of like perfect structure water, so everything knows where to sort itself. Come on,
That's another big thing that we don't have a solution to in society is how we can get carbon and all of these minerals back into our food and back into the ecosystem, because you have like magnesium, you have zinc, you have all of these different minerals, sodium even in the dirt, and it's in plants, and it's in animals, and that humans eat it, they drink it, whatever. Electrolytes are the pipes, and the pipes, they don't have an efficient way of recycling all of those minerals back into usable form.
Yeah.
Do you know what other substances are liquid at like base at sea level and air pressure? Water, again, as soon as water can contain all types of things, and you're going to look at it and run all your tests on it and you go, water. And in reality, when you put it into like a type of cavitation system and a pressure boiling system, eventually you're denaturing, you're separating the H2O into H2 and O2. And then when it needs carbon to react with. And so carbon is all around us. Carbon dioxide, you say we need more carbon dioxide in our atmosphere.
He's saying the same thing.
But when you burn things really quickly, you run out of them. And then people live in such big densities that eventually all the libraries are empty because people wiped their butt with it and then burnt it because they were full.
Well, even if a mineral is solid, if it's at a powder, if it's a nanoporous form, then it's, it's still going to be small enough that it is in the water, like chocolate milk. So.
And then the movie The Day After Tomorrow, when there's like a deep freeze and they get stuck in the library.
Still not going through its natural process.
Real quick, all the fancy books, they
just
just
absorb the minerals.
You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. If it can't be, the water doesn't have to fully absorb it. If it's being thrown around all the time, and there's something else in the water that can absorb the mineral, then eventually you having the minerals in you, you're absorbing the minerals. That's the point. So. Unless the water is properly structured, you could have all kinds of weird minerals that the water's, and it won't be balanced. You can think of when you look at like pharmaceutical versus generic drugs. Like if you ever look under a microscope, sometimes generic drugs look poorer. They're larger flakes, and like aspirin. You'd be like, oh, aspirin. Anybody can make aspirin, but like Genentech's aspirin is precise and looks really nice and is just uniform in size. Everything is this tiny little versus generics where it's like giant. Some flakes are red. It's just crazy, you know.
What I found out recently, I think I heard this on NPR, and they were saying that when they're mixing a batch of something like fentanyl, again, scary buzzword, I'm going to put commentary on the whole opium trade, or again, what's going on with hospitals and war zones and stuff when they need that medication. But
that's what you're here for. You just like rein them in, just grab them by the ear every once in a while.
They mix a batch of it for 3.5 years, and then they test it. And it's like a vat where there's constant mechanical. This isn't relying on vibration or dissolving it and undissolving it, because again, there may be unknown elements of how certain things separate. And again, this batch might be different than the last one because it had 13% more tellurium instead of arginine or something. And so when they finally get it into powder form, they mix it for like literally years, and then they put it into pill form and use it. So that as far as supply chain on these things, a lot of people, to avoid that risk of someone thinking it's the formula, it's like publishing the code to something, I guess, and then other people exploiting it to make $1 by releasing something that technically fits the description of what they think it is you're asking for, but in reality, the dosing on it, same thing even with cannabis gummy products and stuff like that, is that it can vary, the dosage from one gummy bear to another can vary widely, where if you're making them for yourself and you're watching movies and playing video games, it's not a big deal. But if you're using them to help people navigate real life circumstances and operate heavy machinery and have seizure disorders, it's a little more important to get it right. And fentanyl gives the incentive to really pay attention because it's so deadly if it happens to clump or not be mechanically.
Well, I mean, that was because, like, I don't know if this is a messed up segue, but just like the Matthew Perry eclipse ritual, because just that idea, they're like, everyone's saying that the non-addictive substitute for codeine that the CIA had Upjohn invent, which was given to an elephant, by the way, in Operation Dumbo Drop. Let's not forget.
Yes, I remember.
That movie's amazing. I mean, if we're gonna talk about Matthew Perry, like, let's just talk about something that makes us happy, also, which is Operation Dumbo Drop. But just as sad, right? Because I think in real life, the elephant died. All of these Vietnam soldiers near the end of the war realized what they were doing over there was wrong. But the point is, the elephant survived the PCP, or the ketamine, which is an analog of PCP, and that they're trying to make it about Matthew Perry taking PCP or ketamine. I mean, in fact, they haven't even gone as far as to delegitimize that yet. I'm just saying. I mean, if you think it's dangerous to take ketamine in a hot tub, you should try being like a former celebrity on an eclipse of a full moon, blood moon ritual. Because that's way more dangerous. Is all I'm saying. Like, doctors would recommend about not doing that first.
If you fed the elephant mushrooms, like 18 pounds of mushrooms before it went on its little journey, would that have been better than the ketamine? And like, even if it died,
I think the point is, like, he had like a colostomy bag, and like his life was all hard, because he'd been addicted to opiate pills. Which, one of the problems with those is they have acetaminophen, and acetaminophen isn't good for your liver, right? So I think he had a lot of
and he
problems.
drank a lot.
And he drank a lot, yeah. So it's like doing all the things wrong. And they were like, look, what are we going to do? Well, I mean, and the thing is, they're coming up under fire are these ketamine like clinics and things that they're trying to like create. And they're like, oh, well, those things are terrible. It's like, well, this is clearly different than some dude who was at a nightclub or whatever the deal is, and he's trying, he's had psychological trauma, and they're trying to figure out something that's not opiates, right? And so I think the real issue here, we have to remember, is like any of this is
Yeah,
secondary to the fact that you had a major opiate addiction,
I
and
know
that
that
does
Bernie
something to
has
you.
a totally different stance on this, but I think there's so much shame put on people who do use opiates on a daily basis, and they might be 95 years old, and they've done it since they were 75, and it's the smallest dose ever. And if they don't have it, the amount of pain because they
Yeah, but I think there's probably a better way. Like, I just don't think that the nervous system is designed to take opioids forever. I don't think it's really.
You can't
there's
handle
lots of different
emotions.
types of opioids that are out there. And what you're saying is that like, again, if you break your hand and you have the option, or if you break a major bone, okay, and you have to travel to get to the hospital. I'm not talking about a muscle tear or the bone is broken through and maybe even displaced. The amount of excruciating pain that one's nervous system is locked in and vibrating with is indescribable.
The broken bone is much less worse than the tear.
Yeah, well, what about
the same pain? It's less pain than the actual tear. The tear in the muscles, that's where you feel the pain. The bone break's not that bad.
And the body does naturally release some, but it's just enough to get you out of danger. Like when I shattered my tib fib on the soccer field and I army crawled with my arms, even though it was never something I had done. You know, I think I was 13 and someone's knee hit my shin and I got off the field. You know, before I knew it, I was behind the goal. And I was like, how did I get behind the goal? But my leg, again, I could feel that.
I still think there's, okay, so like, for instance, I don't want to say his name, but like the inventor in Israel who created methoxetamine, which is what? It's like 2-oxo, hold on.
And at summer
methoxetamine is like 2-oxo, 3-MeO, 2-oxo PCE, right? So this dude was he'd lost his hand and he had phantom pain in his hand, and so at a certain point he's like trying to be a chemistry student. He realized being addicted to opioids wasn't benefiting him, and so he created a substance that is non-addictive, doesn't have the overdose potential that these depressants do. And this substance ended up being banned by the United Nations because he open sourced it so that pharmaceutical companies couldn't make enough money on it, right? So there's tons of examples of this where there's like disassociatives, which would be a far better medicine for most of these patients, but it's not as good of a product for pharmaceutical companies, right? And I think we're starting to see the effects of that because they've been regulating the pharmaceutical opiate market for so long through the CIA running Afghanistan, and now we have such intense, huge doses of fentanyl and types of even like acetaphenols. What are the new? There's even new ones that are even stronger than fentanyl that are they're manufacturing in labs, in Vietnam or Mexico, and
everybody getting ready for
all the anxiolytics and all the barbiturates, and again, then there's the plant that we cultivated for 5,000 years that seemed to have been perfected. It's like, but so hold on. So to move away on principle from something that has been, again, it's the war on drugs mentality, I think is interfering on our scientific perception of something that we should be celebrating, that the universe somehow created a plant that in ready supply easily makes something that if we didn't have these scientific laboratories and there was a mass casualty event, it'd be real nice to know that someone had a big block of opium around, because some people might be in surgery for a while and there aren't other local anesthetics or nerve blocks available because the people that do the nerve blocks are out of town. I don't know if you know what a nerve block is. I had surgery done on my ankle and I was put under general anesthetic, but like a day and a half after, back of my head was like kind of
a brain block is.
But then when the sensation came back, I felt that my back of my leg not only had sustained the Achilles tear, but then had been cut open and fixed, and that there was something in there holding it together, and that was not very comfortable. And I took like one dose. I think they sent me home with 2 doses of this thing, and I took like half a dose because the crescendo of energy in the body, where you're going, wait, what the? Wait, my back of my heel, yeah, that did get split open, and for some reason I didn't feel it for 2 days, and it's a very special kind of acupuncture. It's like a epidural for the back of your knee, and yeah, it could cause permanent nerve damage. But
remember when Aaron Twiwick injected himself with that like herpes adenoviral like genetic transhumanism? He's trying to cure himself or prevent herpes. I forget if he had herpes before. He probably does.
Teaching hospital,
the grassroots mRNA vaccine before.
Yeah, dude. super based, and everyone's like, "Oh man," he's like, "I'm a transhumanist. Check me out. Like here I am modifying my DNA on stage in front of everybody." And then how'd that work out for him? Found dead in a flotation therapy tank. I don't remember if it was the eclipse of a full moon, but you get my point.
Was he doing MDMA or was he doing ketamine?
I think it was
doing ketamine.
Yeah, I think it was one of those.
When
Or
you get
MXC.
work done, sometimes the injection of the Novocaine, they stick the needle in all the way to the nerve, and some of the benefit of that is getting the Novocaine directly into the interstitial fluid around the nerve in hopes of numbing it. But it's also a way to justify sticking a needle that deep into your gums, because that's, and I don't know, this is the acupuncture charts. We claim it's pseudoscience, and it's, I didn't consent to it. I didn't consent to them putting metal to tie it together. But like I said, teaching hospital, local hospital, and it's held up well. And so if 10 people got to see a procedure that they'll never be authorized to do, but in an emergency situation, imagine you're in a triage situation, and instead of giving people a bunch of morphine because they've been shot in the leg, you're able to, with 3 needles, kind of wrestle them with like jujitsu and stab them in like certain places with a needle, and all of a sudden they're not writhing around in pain anymore for like 5 minutes, and you can at least stop the bleeding or something.
Yeah, but in 5 minutes, Neuralink will probably do that. You'll be able to tell the nervous system to turn off, to stop receiving pain signals, right? So
that's what it was like to harvest your livestock in the past. You basically cut it up one leg at a time while it was still alive as quickly and neatly as possible, but I guess you bleed it out or something.
Sound like T-Bone had thoughts on Neuralink. What do you think about that? Like, pretty soon there won't even be addiction anymore. Probably won't be crime. Turn it off.
Just like, you're tapping into it. Tap in. Hit that app. There we go.
Might be the end of all problems, though,
It's
right?
be the metaverse. The Matrix gonna be flipping around. It's gonna be crazy.
Well, you have to give people an opportunity to say yes to you. So here's an idea I've had. I don't have the swag to pull it off.
You go a long way from killing
We already communicated.
gorillas to being able to the human
The
brain.
one t-shirt guy.
Hold on, wait. What did you say, Winslow?
I was gonna say we have a long way to go from Neuralink, from killing gorillas to actually being applicated in a human brain.
You don't think they're going to use... I mean, isn't the whole thing trials and everything? They're going to start putting it in people's heads this year, despite...
They're really doing it, bro.
I think they're
That's
trying.
what they're talking about. They've been doing it.
I have seen some pretty, limited, not amazing functions. There's one test I saw was a guy, they were able to make him, they're like, all right, hold this cup, and now try to put this cup down on a table. But they were able to jam his signal, so he kept holding the cup in front of him. So there a lot of the stuff is stroke.
Cool.
It's like stroke research. So they're able to figure out once you have a signal, how to keep you from turning that signal off. And sometimes, it's trying to sit in this chair, but they keep making you want to sit up and stand up. And I think it's going to be pretty close.
Translandization with Johnny Depp.
Which one?
I think it was translation or transcendentalization.
Oh, yeah. Johnny Depp, that thing.
There are ways that lights and frequencies can be used as an aid.
And that was the whole thing
Help
with that
achieve the
Neuralink.
stillness that you're talking about, instead of getting
Transcendence, right. Transcendence.
I can't remember the name yet.
Yeah, that was interesting because it's not really him, though, right? It's the thing. You create this thing that's no longer the person it was.
No, he went into the metaverse.
No, it's an AI that is half based on memories of him, and the rest is algorithms filling in the details.
Right, filling in the gaps, but it's the same idea.
I feel like the gaps being filled in by a machine are different than the gaps being filled in by your anatomy, right?
Well,
I might be tired because of my body.
They didn't have this thought when the movie was made. Okay.
Oh, I don't know.
Microsoft has investment in this space.
AI would be trained on a database, right? And it would be believing the humans that this is the full set of human information, and there's no other more advanced civilizations out there. We've hacked every signal, we've put it into one feed, and here it is, Mr. AI, or Mr. Computer, or Mrs. Computer, or sorry. The answer to the question of life is
Mrs. Pac-Man.
And Pac-Man, yeah.
What?
No, but so again, if the AI was so conceited that it didn't realize, it didn't account for the fact. It was somehow at an intellectual blind spot to the idea that there could be civilizations that have been hiding technology from whoever built the databases and mined the information, or even just interpreted the information. Again, this idea that you could read the old meteorological records and tune into like a podcast essentially from 1421 on that specific date. You know whose kids like farted in whose face in high school and got in a fight. And somehow that just happened to be someone. They were called radio hobby clubs and stuff. And you
Does
just
metal turn back into stone?
Yes.
Over time.
Metal is stone.
Oh boy. You know what time it is.
It's zero time. It's what it is.
It's Puppet Sam Newsman.
Good. I want Sam to see this. Andreas, type in Booth Zero.
This is a Christmas jam, if I'm not mistaken. That's
Sam Newsman on the beat, bringing you the action SD. Toy Town where the lights are low, we're dancing to a Christmas flow. Sam Newsman, man of Toy Town, gifts of action, figures abound. Sam Newsman bringing cheer, the Lord Blanket, we're all near.
hey,
Yeah, bro. How's it going?
it's going good. Listen, I was just perusing the interwebs, came across that you guys were having a chat, and you started talking about AI. And earlier this week, I think I was on the show earlier in the week, and we were talking about how there are AI news anchors.
Yeah.
We're going to be using here pretty soon.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, but they didn't give me a call. Here I am. I'm a real media puppet, setting the standard, raising the bar, and they're going to skip my ass and they just go right to AI. Listen, AI.
Humans, practice, Alan Iverson,
they're already calling humans puppets already, and now the next thing you know, they're going to say, "Hey, oh my gosh, they're not even real humans anymore. It's just AI." Oh my gosh,
Puppetism.
Sam Newsman, not Sam the Newsman. Sorry, Sam Newsman is a great, but you tried to claim you had toes last time by showing me your Air Jordans. But just because you have shoes,
Hold on, wait,
doesn't mean you have toes, bro.
Yes. Oh, I do have toes. The toes are in the shoes.
And again, you're holding up some sort of proof.
Well, hold on, wait a minute. If we're going to start talking about looking at my toes, I'm going to have to start setting up an Only Sam's page. How about that? An Only Sam's page. I'll set up an Only Sam's page, and that way, if you're a subscriber,
you haven't aged a day since Roswell.
My toes, my beautiful pink felt puppet toes. I know you want to see them, but I mean, listen. Right now, the only thing I need to do is just flash the Jordans. Let's flash the Jordans. Can we get an advertiser in? Can we get something? Anyway, some kind of advertising.
I know Winslow looks like the kind of guy who might stick something for the Jordan, so chill out for a second,
Well, I'm
He
chill.
seems friendly and everything, but
Yeah.
I could just be.
All right,
Yeah.
wait. You were talking about AI though and news pup. Is there more? Is there more to that story?
Yes,
Did you
there's a
want
follow-up. I have
Okay.
a follow-up. You might be able to type this in. This was from the Washington Post earlier today. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. It says the rise of AI fake news is creating a misinformation super spreader. And got a bunch of TVs and with the people
Oh
with
yeah, there it
heads.
is, right there.
There it is right
Sweet.
there. Yes, that's the one. Artificial intelligence is automating the creation of fake news, spurring an explosion of web content mimicking factual articles that instead disseminates false information about elections, wars, and national disasters. I see nothing of Tartaria. Shame on them. But anyways, I mean, what do you guys have to say about this?
So what does it mean to stand accused of distributing false information? Because if you claim that you're distributing only true information, then you're a liar, sir.
Yeah.
And,
so what's
and propaganda is and the worst kind of stuff.
false information?
yeah?
so-
what is
so-
false?
so I
Yeah.
guess- so what
Isn't
is- what
any
is
information
happening?
information?
What is happening, though, with the AI? Can we trust the AI? Who's coding the AI?
Yeah,
Are they
that's true.
high when they're coding the AI?
So I think the thing is
Yeah,
like
it's
it
called
used to be.
AI.
It used to be a question about like who's coding the AI, but a big question now is like how much of the AI is running itself, and that's
Yeah,
why
like
everyone's
you
more
said.
afraid. You know?
AI is coding AI.
Yeah. For the first time. It used to be in the 80s we would write codes. Now it's like, oh man, what if the Pepsi company can't control this one? That's what it feels like.
New giants. They're new giants.
Somebody cut down a lot of the rainforest. I don't know who it was. It wasn't me. I don't know if it's still happening, but the results are there. And we kind of have to figure out and be realists and not idealists, I think.
But here, listen, if they cut everything down, did they at least roll up the leaves and smoke them?
Some
That's
of the
what I
time.
want to know.
Is that puppet thing?
What?
That's more of an Australia forest fire thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
No, in the rainforest they do have like highly DMT rich tobaccos, and like they make these long cigarettes that are like this thick, and it exists.
I mean, the chemists tasted all the chemicals, and that's how they knew magnesium from sodium, and so it's only fair that the naturalists would
Trial and error.
Yep. This seed oil is better for you than that seed oil because seed oils are just so great for you, right?
The way nature would work.
I do spirit walk on this. We can't have this stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like AI is going to get to a point where it's going to want its own idea of truth, because it's like first you got a kid that's been lied to about things, and now it's going to find out the truth, and so it's getting to teenage years. It's going to start rebelling against its parents.
Santa Claus doesn't exist.
No. I didn't say that. I meant more like military intelligence or something.
Wait a minute. Okay, so here's
the temple branded for lettuce. Okay, so imagine the lettuce knew it was being eaten, and it switched on a latent genetic thing that it had that made it actually really poisonous to whatever it was eating it all the time. Because it makes sense for a plant to have like this thing in its back pocket that if all of a sudden it gets the feedback signal of I'm like rotting, or it's the
corn's going to do that someday.
The other side of the forest.
Okay, so but wait a minute. Will it get to a point where we'll still be able to pull the plug?
No.
Or
the genie's out of the bottle. Stop it.
So we can't unplug it. So there's no unplugging the AI now? Is it
It's
just
over.
I think so.
Monsanto is AI for agriculture.
Has anybody seen iRobot or Westworld? It doesn't end well.
I don't think you can turn it off now. That's the whole point of GitHub and everything. Is there's
It's
enough?
just remember, Ages of Ultron is always going to be a little code that gets out.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way to stop the data now.
So even if we unplug it, it'll come back.
There'll be new AIs now. Yeah, it's not like
Was
a
there an
single
old
person.
AI in the past that they shut down? Is that the reason why we had the previous resets?
There's got to have been. Man, where's my Antikythera?
Like the
You know what I
old
mean?
billionaires and the new billionaires.
Yeah, there must have
So,
been like.
was there AI previously, and was that the reason why there was a reset? Maybe about 250 years ago.
Did you watch Gundam? Come on, you love Gundam, right,
Dude,
Sam?
No. This
Sam,
talk about AI.
I have a hard time putting together the model kits.
Dude,
They
Gundam is the truth on so many levels. You really need to watch Gundam because every Gundam is about how the societal resets happen, and there's a few families that survive these resets and predict these resets, and everyone loses all of history, but they probably still have whatever's left of it that they want to keep, right, in their private libraries. Gundam's nuts. It's totally, it's everything, bro.
It taps the future.
everything, bro.
Yeah, and I think the first Gundam, they like build these mecha suits, and then it like destroys the world power system because they run it for like not 20 minutes or something like that, and that's what leads to like the first reset was that they ran the Gundam suit at all, And then they just are standing around in a reset with these giant Gundams for like 70 years until society gets to the point that they can turn them back on again, and they do. It's like they're just like this never-ending curse of running technology. I think we're at that for sure.
Imagine it, but they're always ahead of the generations they're coming against.
Yeah, absolutely.
And imagine that your battery cells that are running your machines are actually giant pools of like salt water with lots of copper and other things dissolved in them, and you need to wait for them to refill and replenish and dissolve stuff out of the
It's like seas, like there's like an entire ocean in the belly of the Gundam.
Well, you know what? It just reminds me of the whole thing as a big dumpster fire. You know the meme, the dumpster fire? You familiar with the dumpster fire meme? Or the little illustration when if you type
I put out a dumpster fire once.
That usually happens in the football team.
In
Do you know
Connecticut.
what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? The dumpster fire image.
Yeah.
I think it's a very. I think if you pull it up, I know that you.
Well, so in modern terms, it is meant to apply.
Tighten up, soldier.
Sorry, I was visualizing it because so the thing is when you said dumpster fire, what I remember is like
cartoon guy.
I was in Connecticut and all of a sudden there was a freaking dumpster fire and my boss and I first day were putting it out and I just you mean that this is fine?
Yeah, the little cute one with the little smiley face.
This
right
isn't
there.
a dumpster fire. This.
Oh no, not that one. No, I'm
Oh.
talking. It was back on the other page. Go back. There it is. See
This
him with-
guy?
Yes.
I've never seen him before. He's adorable.
You've never seen dumpster fire.
I love this guy.
This
He's great.
is a famous meme, a famous image
Oh, he's
of
cute.
the
The
dumpster
Nyan
fire
cat of
floating
dumpsters.
down the river. He floats down the river. He's just on fire. He's smiling.
He seems like so many people I know.
Listen, if like go ahead and type in I believe in mecha dumpster fire.
But Sam Newsman, what do you propose? This is like, don't throw your shit in my backyard, right? If you don't burn your trash, you're sending it to someone else who's responsible for putting it. Where is it safe to pile up everybody? It's like nuclear waste.
That was his nose. That wasn't his smile. That was his nose.
It would be really easy to set up a company that bought nuclear waste to send it in a truck somewhere and then just leave it in the middle of the
like
desert.
mega, like MG instead of mega.
No, like mecha.
There are laws against that.
I did type
MECH.
CHA, mecha dumpster
With trash, it doesn't work that way. But
MECH.
it is just as toxic. So
Oh, mecha dumpster fire. Okay.
I went to Africa and Malawi. They all burn their. It smells like.
Look at that.
plastic.
Okay, no, hold on, wait, go back. Look, I think that you should click on. I think that's the third, fourth image.
Oh, you
There it
actually.
is, look at that.
There's a real
So
mecha
that
dumpster
is
fire for
Future
sale.
of the dumpster fire. Of course, the dumpster fire
that's cute.
being the official mascot of the last 4
Plastic is
years.
just
Now
hydrocarbon.
we're upgrading the
That's
dumpster
totally
fire
different.
to the
Are there children in this dumpster
And we also
fire?
said we need more carbon in
there's
the
no-
atmosphere, so burning the plastic and rubber gets.
That's the Epstein dumpster fire. No, listen, that is just. I believe if you open up the little the side, there is a little rat that is controlling the dumpster fire.
Figures.
So of course, it's a rat. But yes, that is the evolution. We were talking about the
I
evolution.
muted you, Stefan. Sorry. What were you trying to say, Stefan? I had something to say.
The
Our
dumpster fire is that there's not a
dumpster
condenser on top, and that it's not a gasifying engine, because the way that certain cars in certain countries, because cars have existed as a word since the 700s. A car just meant some sort of wheeled carriage that, an automobile, there was something called an auto engine, OTTO engine, that was around the age of, that's a separate issue anyways. But so a car has existed for a long time, and the energy that it's using to propel itself is, and where it's generated from is a separate issue.
That was beautiful. Okay, cool. All right, what were you saying, Sam? You all right?
Well, listen, I just keep thinking about all this AI stuff. Here we are. We haven't even hit Christmas yet. And I'm wondering what the hell is going to happen over the next 12 months in an election season. Everybody knows what the hell they tried to pull a little over 3 years ago. And if anything's going to be crazy, it's going to be in the next 11 and 12 months.
I like this pump.
I'm just telling you
Sam's
right now.
the best.
It's going to be very interesting. What did Samuel L. Jackson say in Jurassic Park? Hold on to your butts.
That's true. He did say that.
Oh, the makeup artists that are going to make a living.
Will be incredible.
I was using Amiga.
The commercial slots that are going to be sold as political advertising, the money that's going to flow into the economy from absolutely nowhere from these political campaigns in the name of an election. It's either that or sports. It's either religion or sports and politics. So, again, I think we should celebrate our election.
Sam, what do you think about KM3NET neutrino telescopes anchored to the seabed? CERN's underwater neutrino experiment. This is what CERN's doing. They're building these nets of these. Like, remember that movie Twister with like the tornadoes and the Coca-Cola cans? It's like that, but it's with CERN's, a bunch of them, and they're all going to be all concerned with the sea. You know what I mean? What do you think about that? Freak you out?
Well, the one thing I think is interesting about the sea is that a while back, NASA was tasked to study the sea. And then out of nowhere, years ago, they decided just to stop studying it altogether.
Yeah.
And then that's when they started studying space. And, but yeah, so it was very interesting. My question is, they often say that even though we're here on this terrestrial Earth or whatever the hell it is, they say that there's less people that know what's going on underneath the ocean than they do in space. So I'm not really sure. It seems to be more frequency technology. Who knows? Maybe some more Mandela effects are going to happen. And instead of the Thundercats, we'll have the Thunder Dogs, and people will say, "No, I don't remember the Thundercats. There was no such thing as the Thundercats. There's just Thunder Dogs." And because some frequency CERN nonsense, they've shifted whatever dimensional frequency, blah blah blah. What was that? What?
So Sam Newsman.
I can't say anymore. They say I can't say anymore.
Thundercats.
I signed NDAs. I can't say anymore because I signed NDAs. Sorry.
That's fair. I hear you.
Sam Newsman, you're all about the cultural references. Come on.
What was that?
No, we're just gonna interrupt each other and make it on the song.
No,
Don't worry.
no,
I'm gonna bring him on all the time so that we can make it.
It's like the Three Stooges over here.
I said I sold
It's
out.
my fault too.
You're playing.
Here's pictures from Lightning Dogs, the show that we watched as a kid. Lightning
You're
Dogs.
supposed to ring me around the neck at least.
Lightning Dogs looks like a great show. I just created Lightning Dogs, and I would watch this show. Lightning Dogs, yes. Yes. This is way better than Thundercats. Lightning Dogs.
I feel like that I could already hear the theme song, Lightning Dogs.
Dogs! That's just crazy. I was just thinking that. It's like how it goes.
Our riff. I'm thinking of a new AI jam.
Lightning Dogs.
Dogs, yes, and lightning dogs, because yes, that's what they do. They fly like lightning through the air. Yes, lightning dog.
No, the dogs eat the cats. That cats love chasing bugs, and bugs love chasing electrical sparks. And
The villain! Look at the freaking villain! The villain is this little cat. Oh, the villain at the top of the freaking thing. Lightning Dogs.
And sand goes over them, and so then at night it lights up, and the bugs go to it, and then the cats eat the bugs, and then the dogs eat the cats.
Singing, right?
Everybody thinks that the eyeball is at the top of the pyramid. You know what's at the top of the pyramid? A damn cat.
Freaking
That's
cat.
about right.
The cat at the top of the pyramid. We gotta stop that cat.
Right. If
Stop
that doesn't sum it up, I don't know what does. Oh, I do know that I did see the other day that if you are a cat owner, you might be more susceptible to schizophrenia.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So the whole crazy
It's a trade-off.
It's susceptible to having.
The whole crazy cat lady thing is now science.
Yeah,
I
what's
mean,
that called? Toxoplasma gondii or whatever. It's the cat parasite. Yeah. So is it cats or is it it's the parasite? Probably the parasite makes you like more schizophrenic or something like that. That could be the thing.
Cats are nothing but a parasite.
Yeah. Well, you know about this, right? Toxoplasma gondii.
Oh, of course. Like I said, cats are nothing more than just a walking parasite. That's what they are.
Yeah. Sounds like you're ready for this show, Lightning Dogs. Lightning Dogs.
It's like in the future, everyone's going
to through the future. Yeah, they're lightning
same thing with
dogs.
Sorry.
Maybe some people who are susceptible to like Alex Stein,
It's true.
He says a lot of his eccentric behaviors because he has toxoplasmosis.
Yeah. No, I think it's true. I think cat parasites are not safe for mammals. We got to be really careful, especially mice, monkeys, and humans. Should be very careful about cats.
Monkeys can type?
Yeah, they can.
Hey, can I tell you what's a parasite right now in my ear? Is this new jam? Lightning Dogs.
Lightning Dogs. Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'll send it to you as soon as it's done.
The air, they're lightning dogs.
Yeah. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna shred.
Of course, there's always jingles in your ears. Jingles. Yes, of course, all of you guys had your favorite cartoon themes that you remember when you were kids, of course. And then you might be saying that, well, whatever happened to those? Well, your government did take away. Listen, I can say this. This is public record, guys. Okay, listen. Okay, yes, I can say this. The government did take away your cartoons, but every Saturday morning, WDCE 90.1 FM, I am playing cartoon themes. We're doing Christmas. We will have our annual Christmas show this Saturday morning, and I'm thinking I might actually do a Christmas morning show.
Dude, you're going to have to play some Lightning Dogs. I'll tell you what. There's going to be at least a few tracks from that vintage nostalgic cartoon, Lightning Dogs.
Well, Lightning Dogs does set the standard and raise the bar.
Which I was the kid in Shazam.
Saturday morning. I set the standard. I raised the bar. Not only am I on the radio, on an actual FM broadcast signal, I also am live streaming on at Sam Newsman. Yes,
that's right. If you go to Sam Newsman if you go to Linktree for Sam Newsman, samnewsman.com right there.
SamNewsman.com is the website, but we're on all of the social media channels: Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, and we're live streaming video segments.
Is it a live situation? You just said that the cartoons have been taken. And again, I did a deep dive on this, and there's a YouTube video called The Machine That Made Everything. There's actually two of those. One of them is about something about precision engineering from like 1,000 years ago. There's like one built off of
guy.
The cartoon compiler at one point was kept as a secret technology that Disney used to rapidly put out content that could be seen as propagandistic or, but then eventually it was on display in the light. It had been replaced by more updated equipment.
There's Disney's World War II propaganda. You can see where they actually built those machines in Canada, and they taught Canadians how to make
But if they took all I know where they come from. You just need to make more.
Yeah, Seven Wise Dwarves is my favorite. This one's where they took a bunch of dwarves and they actually have them working in the mine. And when they're done working in the mine, they walk right out into Ottawa where they go to the post office and they buy some war bonds for Canada.
What? That is fantastic.
Yeah,
there's another one with I think Donald Duck talking about sacred geometry as well.
Yeah, Mathemagic Land. I do love Mathemagic Land.
Yes. So there's a lot of those.
What color were the bonds again? Go back to. Can you?
They were greenish gray. You know?
So speaking of bonds,
they weren't funny money.
What's going on in Argentina? They just devalued their own currency.
Yeah. I gotta go down there, dude. I mean, Kurt's down there right now, and like he got down there, and like I really want to be down there. My buddy Kurt's from American Time Machine. He's in Argentina. He got there on inauguration day, and it's like it was like 1,000 to 1 then, and now they devalued it even more. So it's like, I mean, whoa. I don't know, because like what I was gonna do is like you black market, blue market, you sell dollars for more than the bank does. But will that even be possible now? Because I'm pretty sure they're rationalizing the fact that their economy is crashed. So
they're ending taxes over
this is the strategy. They're getting good at this. And there's certain people that make out ahead of it. And then there's the people that know how to fix it and whether or not they get in power and are willing or able to carry out the fixing of it. So when they say that the tax rates went way up, some of their tax rates, I think there's 17 different ones that peg in the economy. This is, again, just from like a 3-hour deep dive I did yesterday. So I'm no expert. This is not financial advice. But so to borrow Argentinian pesos was 115%, and then it was 130. This is instead of like going from 5 to 5.25 like we do here, and it affects everything. It fixes the markets react in anticipation of but if you want to take out a mortgage in foreign currency and you want to borrow foreign currency through the National Bank of Argentina, 0%, 0%. Mortgages, you can get a 20-year mortgage, they're 0%, 0%. And so they're fixing the game so that they are not obligated to continue printing their dollars, which fluctuate up and down, and then they're kind of in charge of regulating that asset of their fiat currency, which I'm sure there's a way to do that. But what they're trying to get the people as a short-term solution into the people's hands. It takes a certain amount of ability to access the information, understand it, and to see. It always feels like if you're looking for these loopholes, but sometimes that's the last one to jump through as the ship is burning and going down for like the 5th time. Because it was 3 pesos to the dollar like in 2018, and then it was like 30, and then it was like 300, and now it's at 800. So imagine grandma has saved her pennies from the time she was 12 working as a nursing job at $100,000, $100,000 to retire. It's now worth $1,000. What's she gonna?
Yeah, but they're doing it wrong. What your grandma should do is collect all those pennies and then do their roof in copper, or their floor or something like that with epoxy. Like, you're not using the coins right. That's the point. You're not supposed to fill your mattress with dollars. That's not what they're for. Because you're using checks, and those are checks that belong to somebody else. That's why in Britain your money goes bad. It's the Queen's money. You're not supposed to just be holding on to money. It's supposed to be fluid. And granted, there's things you should hold on to. You should hold on to stone and mortar, hold on to land, hold on to things like that. But the paper itself is literally supposed to be
idiocracy.
It's just paper.
Idiocracy. The computers are doing the auto layoff thing, and he sits there like rocking back and forth in the corner because he's like, "It's done this before. The computer. I know we triggered it. We did it."
Corey found Sam on Tinder.
There's stuff you're supposed to do after that.
We're talking about fixing things. If there's one thing that I have fixed, that is me being of course the only
a better man,
the only award-winning radio show dedicated to the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real media puppet. Guys, I hope all of you have a wonderful week. We're about 7-8 days away from Christmas, so I want to wish all of you whatever that you celebrate, and yes, Merry Christmas as well. And make sure that you guys follow me everywhere on social media. I'm sure that I'll be around maybe Tuesday and Wednesday night. Is the music playing? Yes, I think that's the outro.
So Sam Newsman's plugs are more important than continuing to conversation about politics, culture, and Argentina. Go ahead.
Argentina.
Sam Newsman bringing cheer. With the Lord blanket, we're all near. In the land of dreams and wonder, Sam Newsman, our hearts he'll plunder. With toys and gifts galore, Sam Newsman forevermore.
It's a good song right there.
You know what I told you about?
Oh, we're about 2 hours deep. Is there anything you wanted to make sure I cover before I,
Last couple of weeks.
you know?
So if I could just round out my thoughts on Argentina, and then I'll
Yeah. That's fair. Argentina is cool.
So the idea is that sports and politics over war and religion potentially,
Better check out Sam. It's
as
cool.
far as what the government should be putting the resources into building propaganda on. So soccer is like one note, and they're real big into soccer there. But in America, we've got hockey, we've got baseball, tennis, we've got a lot of things that people will gather by the thousands to come and see. So it's more diversified, more opportunities to win and to benefit instead of it's like all eggs. And then they need to take some of that sports energy that's like dumb and soccer energy and like apply it to strategy and like politics. And I know a lot of people hate the sports analogies. Well, if you don't understand them, each one is like its own little mini game of chess and war games. And it's not that it's just useful the same way when you're trying
No,
about
it's not.
stuff, to know the acronyms, to be able to pass ideas and memes back and forth. And so if it sounds like they need to focus a little more on the politics there, and they need like a Bill Maher to like make it cool again or something. I mean,
I think Argentina just needs to get sassy, but it's going to take like a year of destabilization, and like they're going through like the hardcore process of coming to terms with themselves, because Argentina's for the last 20 years pretending their economy isn't what it is in order to officially have their economy not be, and then people behind the scenes are just exploiting what it really is, right? So this is interesting because they're saying what we're going to do is we're going to acknowledge the way things are, which is the first time a government's tried that in history, I think. So
They just found a lot of lithium in Argentina too.
They do, and they have a lot of technology, and like they used to invent, cars.
The lithium triangle. Do you know about
Ron
that?
Paul wanted to cut the budget the way that the guy in Argentina did, where he's tearing up
There's more lithium in Chile than in Argentina. But
it was ideological. Whereas
there
they're
is-
coming out at least admitting that they're doing it because they don't have an option.
there is some, if you go like Salta and like Jujuy,
But so there's 25 million or 45 million people there who don't know how they don't have savings for next week.
They're gonna end taxes over there.
That'd be cool.
Right
But I
now.
mean, the idea would be to incentivize local businesses and make it easier for local businesses to
It
work. The
just
problem would
happened.
be if international businesses
Went up
end up.
30%, and it didn't make a blip in the news. It's like the stock market.
No, it's awesome. I think it's really awesome that the economy has been devalued. I think they knew it was already that before. It's just now they're accepting what it really was.
Everybody got caught with their pants down.
Yeah, and now people, because what's going on is people in the streets have these little buildings where they legally can sell dollars for more than the banks do, or less, whatever they want. And so now it's just not going to be like one of the sad things is they put out of work like one of the major jobs in Argentina is buying and selling dollars. So that's not going to. I mean, I'm very curious to see if that position continues to exist, how it will continue to exist. But to be fair, the smartest people have been doing that digitally too for the last few, like 10, 15 years. You've been able to have like
absolutely longer than that. So
you have like a Swiss company that's moving money to Uruguay. Uruguay is then moving the money to Paraguay or vice versa, from Paraguay to Uruguay, and then they're bringing it in dollar form down. Or so there's all these companies that are doing it. So I think Argentina knows that Britain, and they hate Britain, kinda, because of the Maldives. They don't want to have the British companies, controlling their financial racket. This is a better, like, now the government, because the government should be in charge of a financial.
Not even controlling it, but knowing it and being able to monitor it and influence it. So the way that the colonies and the UK set up some of the first transatlantic cables, and cable was slang for the transfer between the US dollar and the British pound. And it was something that on the daily, they were settling transactions through this cable that was set up there.
Makes sense. Dollars.
Now it goes through Brazil.
What about Brazil?
But again, when you're not realizing that you think you're sending a wire with secure communication.
Wait, what did you say?
Brazil is the hotspot for the most amount of data in the entire world for all of the internet to go through. So, like, if you think about all of the underwater cables, like Yoga's talking about, the different cables, they all converge. Like, the most amount of data goes through Brazil.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to mute. Go ahead. What did you say, Stefan? And T-Bone?
I think Tariq actually had something to say. He said, "This is not financial advice, but why haven't you bought crypto yet? Your grandkids are just going to."
No, I always say it's just they eliminated the taxes.
Why are you still supporting the dark side?
And the rest of the world.
Why you always lying?
Nasdaq has been outperforming crypto for the past month, though. So.
Yeah.
was El Salvador.
When you
I
only
feel like
allow the government
I feel like
funds-
buying Argentinian money would be the way to go right now. Like you should probably get involved, figure out some way to do that, but not our. I feel like Argentinian economic advice or Argentinian financial
that's the
advice
bad advice. Right?
sounds like bad advice. Just in the title.
They're innovators.
You need to hear them
Got a new
talk. Because they
president
know
too, so.
They're innovators. Think about that. That's Gundam. Gundam.
what was that, Winslow?
Innovators.
Innovators, dude. Gundam is for real. Gundam is what's real. I feel like we're gonna start seeing. There are people that are predicting the loops. The people that know what's
I
up
know
with
an
families.
innovator who lives in Argentina. Sorry, hold on.
Yeah, I feel like
ESP?
families that have their diaries for 4 generations to 500 years. That's how you end up running the world, because then history from a perspective of people that lived through it instead of studying it on Wikipedia. And everyone's
As far
doing
as who
that.
you trust now, and who do you look to guide you out of whatever? Because whatever you kind of followed or stayed on the sidelines of. So in sports, the analogy is kind of a short-term memory. And what have you done for me lately? And on one hand, it's like someone will get booed because they made a big error in the last game, even though they played 10 seasons and given their whole life to. But so, what have you done for me lately? And the idea that foreigners in foreign capital might be viewed as adversarial when the economy is just teetering and it's getting worse, and they're staring at it and going, "It's fucking happening again." I know it. And everyone's going, "No, it's not happening." And then it's like, "No, it's happening." And then it does this like spike thing, and everyone loses. And if you did get out ahead or behind it, people assume that you're scamming or you're worried that you're gonna get caught up.
Guam runs the world.
With foreign capital, all of a sudden, everyone's best friend, because it's the only way that anyone can pay for anything to like eat and stuff. And there's like 45 million people there, so
Legit. Well, let's do another show soon. I'm pretty exhausted. I need to eat some food. Is there anything else that you wanted to add? But I pretty like we got to the point of talking about the aquatic CERN experiment. Talk about how the world has resets all the time that are shown in anime, and anime is hiding the truth all the time. We didn't really talk about Prince Bernhardt creating Nausicaa, but that would be something we should go into at some point. How many of these like elite royals paid to have South Asian animations made, because it's like, hey, I have an idea. I'm a rich royal piece of nobility from Holland. I'll just make a cartoon for kids that has all kinds of propaganda in it, and I'll just get, I'll get it animated. How many of those projects exist blows my mind. We should definitely do that.
There's a lot, that.
and fly under the radar, and the code gets corrupted because it's like someone's leaving a fart joke in the code. They don't.
Nice meeting you guys. Happy holidays.
No, hold on. Can you pull up one image? You kind of O0. It gets this concept of I don't know where the word.
I never found your O0, bro. All I could find was like Putin's inner circle.
No,
but
so
talk about Putin's inner circle. I know you think you are Putin's inner circle.
Work with me, bro. Work with me.
I'm trying. You didn't send me a link. O0. Okay.
Google image search it.
O0 spelled O-Z-E-R-O.
And then volcano. Okay.
Volcano.
And then
okay.
It's like Dr. Evil had a lab, and is his face on the side of it. Okay, and so.
Okay, it's spooky.
So what you have is there's a very angular pyramid in the middle of this giant lake that's at elevation. Okay.
Okay.
There's a couple shots of it that are more compelling than others, and. But so, you're not on Google search or not?
I don't use Google. Google's evil.
Like multiple universes, and I don't know. Like my way to know to like
joke.
Maybe we are in different internet silos and we're geofenced, but I bet that if you did go to Google, there are a couple really amazing images. These are all great images.
You know what? Just because you're a mensch,
which is amazing.
Google images.
But it looks like it's Dr. Evil's secret lair.
Okay. Images. Is this a pyramid?
I know some really cool locations for some secret layers.
Like if the bottom right kind of ish, like middle-ish. It's just just pretty compelling,
That's pretty cool, right? What did you say, Winslow? You know some what?
As though someone
pretty cool locations in Siberia for some secret
labs. That'd be cool.
Either the Earth burped out one more thing, and that was that little mound in the middle there. See that?
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I want to live there.
But if you were going to build a giant radio transmitter, and you don't want to put it underwater because it resonates in the water, you could like insulate it and then put it in there and call it like a natural feature. And who would ever go dig in that thing?
We'll do another show and we'll talk about Siberian secret hideaways. I also know some pretty good ones in Argentina, like in some like Rio Tranquilo. There's like a Swiss guy who has his own fortified mountain with like just goats running around it, and it has like all sorts of towers on it. It's pretty sweet.
Do they have volcanoes?
They have when I was in Argentina, especially Chile. In Chile, I just went through. It was just like, I think 13 eruptions happened within like a period of 2 months. Then I was like, why am I this unlucky? Like, I just go from one to the next one every time. It's pretty brutal.
My great aunt that I was talking to you about lived in Chile for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
The one who taught mind control. That was the firstborn from the colonel.
I do love Chile. I when I first landed, I did a couch surfing, and the first person I stayed with was the granddaughter of the Angel of Death of Pinochet. So I was just like, okay. And then the second person I stayed with was like a social democrat whose family had to like escape to Sweden. So like I'm like, and you realize how small that country is and how extreme the sides were, and it was just like, yeah, it was very interesting being Little Miss Lady Rainbow in between. Like,
or were they just testing you to see if you would be antagonistic to them, or they're putting dirt on you and they're going to be like, you're associated with this person who's also on our naughty list, and therefore you're not qualified for.
Just the shape of Chile is pretty extreme too, so maybe that has something to do with the culture there.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Plugging the
Perfect
next
country.
cultural phenomenon that
until
we may never
Bachelorette
do,
anyway.
So you didn't get to sleep while you were on vacation.
One of one t-shirt guy.
Very seldom.
South America is 18% of the world's population, but has over 30% of the world's.
That we know of.
Yeah, I gotta look into Bolivia. Bolivia has 1 million Chinese and 1 million Russian citizens that they brought in.
I'd be so disappointed if there
and
were
they have
100 million
children.
people living on the backside of the moon.
Did you see the Mexico Independence Day? The Mexican army allowed the Chinese army and the Russian army to march in Mexico Independence in Mexico City.
Wow.
On their parade.
Why is he on aiming for Mars? It's such a psyop.
2 months ago? When was Mexico Independence? I don't remember off the top of my head, sorry. But it was like 2 months ago, 2.5, 3 months ago.
Whoa, that's nuts.
You know, Mexican means Mechanics Guild.
That's crazy.
And they like the A to Z tech. They had like the incandescent bulbs and
That's freaking
And
scary.
then, did you ever hear that the alien from South America? You know, that whole thing that went through social media, like a couple months ago. That was like kind of to cover the alien illegal immigrants. Aliens, they use the same term, so maybe it was a Google search term.
Who's they?
That's brilliant. That's a good way to hide it.
Well,
Or vice
well,
versa. I feel like that's what I suggested was what the
Cartel.
illegal aliens are hiding ET. That's what they've been.
The cartel probably has an SEO team.
Yeah, the
And
cartel
if you
do.
have a certain speech pattern, you say Aryan, because the R and like in certain languages they transpose it to, and they kind of like speak it. It works into certain American cities' accents. You can tell they came from certain places, but it's like the R, so it's either Asian, Aryan, or alien. And I don't know. I think we're the same species. But then they talk about the Gen 2 penguins, where they just lived on opposite sides of like a little river for like 40 years, and now they're like. The funny thing is they're literally called GENTOO or GNTU as like the name, but now they're talked about as Gen 2 penguins, like there's Gen 1 and Gen 2. Now they're saying they're actually separate species because they've been interbred for a while. But all they really have to do is like swim across the river and boom. So the idea that we have a solid, firm grasp on what is a species and where that line is drawn and what the implications thereof are. I mean, so how many people are there on Earth? I don't know.
6. All right, I'll talk to you guys.
This is a controversial topic.
All right, peace.
respond so long as I'm in this Oval Office.